Oh, there it goes. Everybody look up and watch out. It's Keep Up with Stillvinsane. Welcome to the show. I'm here with the rest of my comrades and cohorts. We've got a very special guest today. We got Harry, Pokemon Stoner. We got our engineers, John and Neil. Let's get into some motherfucking shout-outs.
It's time for some motherfucking shout-outs.
All right. This week, we are starting something new with our special guest. Thank you, Del. He's a musical artist. He's also my friend from college. We trained together in Posse. We'll get more into that. But we are putting in the guest hands this week. So, Del, please give us our featured guest for who you're shouting out.
I'm shouting out my boy, Chuck Styles. He's a visual artist by way of Philly. Really, really dope. He can sort of capture the moment of everything that's happening in culture. He has a lot of really present pieces. And you can find his visual art at artofchuckstyles.com.
Lovely. And I checked it out myself. Again, Del is in the TV industry as well. He's in advertising, so he has a great eye for great images. So that was a great shout out. Thank you very much. Check that out.
Yep.
Check that out one more time at Chuck Styles, ChuckStyless. Now let's get into what's happening.
What the fuck happened?
All right. So this week, the final and third presidential debate happened. They were in person this time. They weren't in the town hall format. Let's have at it, guys. Did you watch it, Brandon?
I did.
All right. Do you have a scorecard? Do you have anybody? Did anybody get knocked out? Did it was a TKO? What do we have?
0-0, you know.
0-0.
It's a draw.
It was a clean draw. It's always entertaining. I mean, I know that sounds bad to say because it's obviously a serious matter, but for all the terrible things that, Trump has brought to the table, the one thing that he did do is sort of pull the veil back from the, the theater of politics, if you will.
Very good point. Very good point.
Yeah, it almost forces everybody. Yeah, it forces everyone to either you know what you're talking about or you don't at this point, right? So it's interesting to see, we know he doesn't know what he's talking about, but then to see whoever he's talking against to see if they know what they're talking about, right? So that's, I think that's the one positive, but it was a shit show.
Yeah, there was no fly this time, like the VP debate. There was nothing to really distract us. So you're right. It was basically on the record. I'm not going to say Biden doesn't do the same thing, but Trump usually just brings his rally onto the debate. He just brings the talking points and everything from Twitter. Unfortunately, I have a lot of people, even if they're not Trump supporters, they're hardcore anti-Biden. So sometimes they sound like they're Trump supporters because they take the same talking points. 47 years and didn't do shit. Fucking the crime bill. They just mentioned the same things over Hunter Biden. And I had to say to one of my friends, he sent me something about Hunter Biden, and I was like, actually, I think I ripped this from Trevor Noah first. I was like, thank you, sir. I'm now not going to vote for Hunter Biden. I really appreciate I really appreciate that. Exactly. You helped me out, man. You narrowed down my choices. But yeah, so the final debate is here. I mailed in my ballot. We don't have to tell anybody who we voted for and shit like that. We all know pretty much.
Biden.
Right? It could have been Elmo on the ballot and I would have voted for him. What? Say it again?
No, I said same, mailed in mine.
Right, yeah.
But I do think it's something I was going to say. I love what you said in terms of, I know you're saying it in jest, right? Like it could have been Elmo, but the piece about that I like is because people are like, oh, well, this person did that. It's like, regardless of what I feel the actual man or woman knows, right, when they're running, it's the fact that I don't believe, and it's evidenced by the amount of people who have left Trump's cabinet over the last 4 years. The notion that you don't, right, so the notion that you don't need the people around you to help you make the sound decisions, or rather, he doesn't even want to listen to the people around him to make the sound decisions. That's where I think a joke like I pick Elmo kind of thing still makes sense. Because at the very least, it's saying, yeah, if Elmo was the president, we know that he would listen to the people around him who are smarter, who are more experienced, blah, 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 and then make better choices. So that to me that's the worst part of Trump, right? It's not only that he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't even want to listen to people who do. Shit is crazy.
You look like you're actually running the podcast, to be honest. Like the background and everything like that. You have such a man, bro. Right? I'm just gonna like, here's the mic, Brady. Here you go. It's your
just
podcast.
Keep it simple. I'll just keep it simple.
No, you're so good, man. You're so good. So to piggyback and give you some facts on that, Brandon's totally right. And I'm actually just really excited that more people are voting. And to give some fact to that, in 2016, I got this information from Tufts University. So 44,000 were voting in Florida, around that. Around 25,000 were voting in North Carolina with early voting in the battleground states. And Michigan, one of the battleground states as well, 7,500. In 2020, right now with early ballots, 250,000 in Florida, opposed to 44,000. In North Carolina, 204,000 early ballots as opposed to 25,000. And then in Michigan, 145,000 as opposed to 7,500. Again, this doesn't say like who they're voting for. Yo, it's about fucking time. We've talked about this before, conciliatory voting. Obama got crushed for it. Because in New Zealand, Australia, there's a few countries that, like, if you, same thing with the mandate with Obamacare. If you don't vote, you get a tax. Like you get it from your tax record. Like you get fined pretty much. You get fined for not voting. Yeah. So in Australia, they have a 90% voting rate. And in other countries, they don't always have a conciliatory. Like, you know, they have more the parliamentary system, which is more inclusive to begin with. So they don't really need that. But Obama, like, made an example of that while he was president. He was like, I'm actually for conciliatory voting. I'm for everybody voting. That's your civic duty. It should. And there should be incentives. And I'm with them on that. I know it sounds like, and it's not crazy. Like, it would be like a small tax or something like that, but everybody should be voting. So this is amazing. This stats right here that everybody's coming in droves to fucking vote, and I'm very, very proud.
And what's our percentage, like generally, like not this year, but like general U.S.?
So roughly the country, 1/3 of us votes. So I believe we had around 62 million votes for Hillary, and I believe around 60 million for Trump. So we have like around 330 million people in this country, I think, roughly. These are all rough numbers off the top of my head. Okay, so to give you an example, last week we talked about Shaquille O'Neal voting for the first time. Snoop Dogg is voting for the first time ever in his adult life. Crazy that the celebrities are voting for the first time. So, but it's indicative of like what we've talked about, Charlemagne the God, you know, automatically getting the black vote, blah, 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 all the narrative that we've all talked about on different platforms. But so with the NBA, 20% of them voted in the 2016 election. LeBron James, we talked about this last episode, he has carried the torch for Vote or Die from Diddy's platform. Revolt member, alumni over here. So he has brought that up to 90%. Doesn't matter who you think is the GOAT. That motherfucker got 90% of the league to fucking vote.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? That's like, that should be a definitely. Again, I'm not a fan of LeBron, but like I have to give him props where he gets props, and that's a huge prop to get your whole league 90%, go from 20% to 90%. So to me, like, even though the NBA is not like, you know, the pulse of America, that's huge. That's huge. That's Black America right there. That's a Black industry right there. That's a huge caveat of America that doesn't vote. A lot of the people that look like me, a lot of people that I align with, a lot of people that I'm in coalition with, posse, everybody. Most of us don't vote. A lot of us talk a lot of shit. A lot of us are you've talked about it before. I remember one time we had a conversation. You were like, oh, where were you with politics and stuff when we were in college? And you were right. You were correct. Like, I wasn't engaged like that. I remember I was talking to my camp kid. One of my camp kids, he's like, I told you, he's like all radical now. And he was like, it's choosing between all these people. I was like, motherfucker, I had to vote for Kerry. You know,
right.
Like,
Freshman
you'll live.
Exactly.
You'll live. So I'm just happy people are engaged. So my point before I went all off is that I'm just happy. I don't care that like who people are voting for. I just want people to participate. I'll feel more comfortable with whatever people decide. Even with Trump, even if the country voted for that motherfucker, not the Electoral College, I would have felt much better about that. But not being the 1 out of 7 times that the fucking Republicans stole the election through that process. But whatever, we're not going to get into all that. But yeah, no, if you have any thoughts on that, please.
No, I was actually going to ask you because it's one of the things I was talking to a few people about. I wish I understood the Electoral College more. And the reason why I say that is because I agree with what you're saying, especially the first part about, let's tax, let's put a tax in place to sort of force people to do it. What I also want, though, on the flip side is for people to know what they're doing, right? And that's not on like you or me or anybody, but I'm like, there's so many things in life. There's so many things in American life that are mandatory that are never taught. But then there's so many things that are taught that are not only not mandatory in life, but that you literally never use again, right? Like, you and I went to public school in New York. Like, there's all this fucking Regents exams we had to pass, and like algebra, and like shit that
sequential.
Yeah,
Y.
exactly. Stuff that I don't.
I have yet to use PEMDAS in my life.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. No.
I don't use it now, but here's how crazy it is. I didn't use it a year after I took it. Like when I went to college for my freshman year, none of that shit mattered, right?
Sure.
So I'm saying if we say like voting's so important, which I believe it is, if we're saying like local elections are so important, which I believe that they are, then I just wish there was a way to say, okay, now if someone's in ninth grade at the shittiest public school, I'm not talking about some charter school that specializes in politics. I'm talking about like basic, like K through 12 education. You learn like, this is where my vote goes. This is how electoral college goes. Like, you know what I mean? Cause I as old as I am and educated as I am, I still don't know how Trump won. Like I get it. I know on a surface level, it's created to stop it from being popular vote versus, simply popular vote. But beyond that, I don't know. So if you could sort of let me know, how does that work? Like, how did he win what does the electoral college actually do? You know what I mean?
Obviously, I don't have all the answers.
I think they're like represent. I think we vote for like the people in like the power to do that, and it's like the higher up, like the extra people, like the Senate, because they're mostly Republicans now. So like that's probably how it like ended up being a lot.
Wait, it's not even. It's not an even spread of parties.
Well, no, it's whoever the people vote for. So if more people vote Republican in certain states, then they're more Republicans in the Senate.
Got you.
No, you're right. And I'm not even going to say that you're wrong either, Harry. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But there's more to it. I get what you're saying. So the Electoral College and the delegates and the super delegates that were all thrown over to Hillary at first in the 2016 election. And then when Bernie, with all the trepidation, I voted for him, when he had that whole scandal with the DNC getting hacked and showing that they were against him and shit like that, they didn't necessarily go and swing over to Hillary. They didn't like just say to themselves, well, just because I'm voting for Bernie, I'm going to throw my delegates over there. And then on top of that, where it makes the point to both of you as far as the swing states in the Midwest and the South, super delegates, and just as far as what is it called? Faithful electoral votes. That's what it's called. The Supreme Court just decided on that recently, I think like a month ago or 2 months ago, where faithless electives, so these electoral colleges, like Harry just said, with the popular vote, that indicates the electoral process. That's what the electoral is supposed to vote. That's where, so if a red state says, hey, I want to vote for Trump, he's right. The representative is supposed to do that. Right. But because that Supreme Court decision just happened, they're actually enforcing that now. So the case was the delegates were like, well, if I have this delegate vote, I should be able to vote however I want, like as far as like a free speech type of thing, like that's their amendment right. But no, the Supreme Court finally fought back and said, no, it is your job, like Harry said, to represent the people. That's a democracy. Yeah. Or even a republic. Even in a republic, that those people are supposed to fucking represent us. They weren't doing that. And that was so indicative. It glared so hard when Trump won. Because but you saw it. We all saw it. He did not win the popular vote by a lot. Yeah.
Like 3 million people is a lot of people.
Yes.
to then be in the White House and not have won. Yeah. That's a lot of people, you know what I mean?
And even if you and we went to school in the Midwest, like even if you had people that are like, well, you can't have the coasts, you can't have California and fucking New York. Because we do have a big population, and of course that does that. But get over yourselves, bro.
But then why also does every time I feel like I'm watching the news, it's always Iowa, Ohio, and fucking Florida. Like I always hear the coast is so heavy, and then by the time we start getting down into election season, those places become the most famous places in the world, right? So I guess they do that to even it out. I don't know.
Well, Florida's on the coast still.
Oh, true. So
it's like around water, yeah.
Yeah, right. That's right. Well, the Electoral College obviously was created to give those battleground states an edge. And to be honest, it's antiquated. So those battleground states do not need to be battleground states anymore. We all have televisions. 90% of the world has cell phones.
Yep.
90% of the world has cell phones.
Everyone gets the information evenly now. So
exactly. So there's no need for the Electoral College, and there's no need for battleground states. So you're actually correct. So when they did make that, or the battleground states, or even the Electoral College, it was because we barely had any newspapers. We had no ways for the presidential candidates to like travel up and down, west, east, west for like fucking to make their way to promote their candidacy and their campaign. All right. Let's get into the rise in awareness in Africa. Let me click on that link real quick. We're not going too hard. I just want to show that like it's going viral lately. And this stuff has always been happening in Africa. Let's not like pretend, this just happened like in a vacuum or anything like that. No, these things are ongoing. We just want to touch on them. We want it's trending. It's trending. So, but we don't want to make light of it either. You know what I'm saying? We don't make exactly ongoing issues in Africa, Nigeria. I had to like look up the proper way to say this because I know Trump fucked this up. Namibia, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Burkina Faso. So real quick, if you've been seeing the word SARS everywhere, it is the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. It's a part of the police force founded to prevent robbery. They abuse their power by attacking, detaining, stealing, pestering, and killing innocent citizens without consequences. Even though Nigerians' police force announced to dissolve SARS, that does not mean to end police brutality. Nigerians have been and are still protesting for the end of police brutality and SARS. And this is after Boko Haram. So like I said, Nigeria is like a great Western African country. So, when they're hurting, a lot of people are hurting. Do you know anything about this, Brandon? Do you have anything to add?
I know very light, to be honest. The info I got really was watching. There's a Trevor Noah clip that's going around. It's like 9 minutes long, and he kind of broke it down in a very pragmatic way. And that's really where I learned the most info. So I didn't know what SARS meant until I saw that. And the one piece that I will say that stood out to me a lot was in the clip, there's several Nigerians themselves, and they're talking about how they're being profiled, right? And you parallel that with the profiling here, which is like your skin is the thing that gets you profiled. Whereas for them, because obviously everyone has the same skin, essentially.
I didn't know this, by the way. You're teaching me. I didn't see this episode.
They were saying that it's by the property that they have. So they were saying the cell phone is like the number one thing that will get you pulled over, harassed, shot, whatever. Because the cell phone, if you have an iPhone or like a Galaxy, like a newer model phone, to SARS, it indicates that you somehow are into scamming or into thieving people online because in their mind, how else would you be able to afford
that's their version of broken door policing.
Right, exactly. So that part was crazy to me because then I'm also like, well, who are you robbing to get it? It's like, are you saying that no one in the country has an iPhone 10, right? Or it isn't like, there's maybe they think they're going to a resort or something like that. I don't know. But that to me was like the biggest takeaway of the parallel of skin here and technology there being like the thing that gets you stopped or harassed or whatever. But that was it. I don't really know too.
Who would have thought a country would do racial profiling even dumber than us? Holy shit.
Right, even worse. Exactly.
What the fuck? So Trump's favorite African country is Namibia. And no joke aside, sexual and gender-based violence, SGBV. I was doing campaigns for that when I worked at Columbia University. Has been an ongoing issue in Namibia. The Namibian police force reported at least 200 monthly sexually based violence acts, cases, and more than 1,600 rape cases during the 18 months ending in June 2020 of this year. Women and young girls experienced femicide. I had to explain this to one of my friends. He's in his 30s. And to be honest, there's no joke on anybody, to be honest. A lot of people don't know what femicide is, but we'll get into that. Femicide, physical and verbal abuse, and sexual violence from men. The youth have been leading protests and demanding for government to take action. Shut all down. By the way, in the graphic for the YouTube episode, we're going to put all the hashtags so you don't have to really keep up with all the hashtags. Does anybody know anything about this? The gender-based violence in Namibia?
I don't know anything.
Give us any homework about that.
I know nothing about what's happening about Africa. I learned about that.
It's okay, Harry. So I won't ask you. It's okay. I'll ask our guests, but don't worry. Nobody's inclined to know any of this shit.
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar.
So anyway, so Namibia. To make an example of femicide is actually the number one killer of women in the world. It used to be heart attacks. Heart attacks used to be the number one killer in the world of women. Now it's femicide. So femicide is killing women in either spousal disputes, domestic abuse, any type of those type of things. El Salvador actually leads the world in femicide. So Namibia, that sucks, man. That's happening globally, and that really sucks. That like you have to like it gotten to a point where you make a hashtag, and I know that's like that doesn't seem like a lot, but in today's age, where like Brandon just said, 90% of the world has cell phones. We're now profiling people for cell phones, and they're like their structure, their what's it called, their caste system and shit like that. So it's crazy.
I want to know what happened to the other 10%. Like, what's the other 10% of the world doing without having a cell phone?
They have a potato that they talk into. I don't know. Anyway, Democratic Republic of Congo. Over millions of people have died in the Congo, so the Western can steal and benefit from its resources. My man Sudan and Congo. My man George Clooney. He highlights them a lot. So does Leonardo DiCaprio. Congo is one of the. I said that. Colton. I don't even know. I read it, and I still don't know what coltan is. It could be vibranium for all I fucking know. Coltan is needed to create modern technology like smartphones, computers, laptops, and game consoles. Uganda and Rwanda both invade with financial assistance from the U.S. and U.K. to take that. Congolese women and children are being killed, enslaved, and tortured and raped in Uganda and Rwanda to steal that valuable mineral. And so the hashtag for that is Congo is bleeding. Bam. And then one more. We got Burkina Faso. At least 20 civilians are injured, killed, or missing after jihadists have attacked the Sahel region. Burkina Faso. I knew nothing about this, by the way. I've heard the other ones, but I've never heard about this one. Their army is struggling to stop the jihadist violence now spreading across the country. They killed almost 2,000 people this year. More than 1 million people. Civilians have left their homes and relocated, fearing for their lives. There has been back-to-back jihadist violence this week. 25 displaced. Experts are concerned that empty villages might turn into new bases for jihadists. So they didn't show me a hashtag for that. But it's crazy. It's crazy. And, a lot of people are lazy and they'll be like, oh, more Muslim dislocation, just like Syria and, a lot of Middle Eastern parts of the world and stuff like that. But no, that's genitalia, mutilation, all that comes a lot from Christianity. So not only they are battling against Christian fanatics and evangelicals, they're battling evangelicals from all over the place. Mm-hmm. So again, my heart goes out to the continent of Africa, these countries that are hurting. There's a lot of places in the world that are hurting, but I'm glad. I went to an exhibit last week where they were showing investments from China into Africa, but like, it's not even an equal pay scale, to be honest. The same thing in Jamaica. You've been to Jamaica, right, Brandon?
Yeah, a couple times.
I remember one time they were telling us on the tour. Oh, yeah, Harry's with us. We were on the tour, the Bob Marley tour, and they were telling us that their biggest export is sugarcane. And almost no Jamaicans own it. All China owns it. So that's practically what's happening in Africa. They're giving them solar technology. They're testing out all this technology, but they're not giving them any credit for it. So they're basically using them. So it's good. It's good in the sense that, Africa's getting that investment for infrastructure and stuff like that. But you don't want it to end up like Jamaica. You don't want them like owning all their exports. So we got to keep a watch out on that.
Sadly, it probably will, right? Like before, I guess for me, before we move on from the topic,
please, I want to hear you.
I just feel I don't know outside of the Nigeria piece. I didn't know about any of the other ones, and probably the 20,000 other ones that are going on.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Right.
We're only tipping the surface. You're absolutely right.
Right. But I'd be remiss to say like it's just, and this is not. I'm not saying anything that everyone here doesn't already know, but it just always has to be amplified whenever anyone's listening to anything that concerns Africa. It's like it's just so fucked up that if the continent was allowed to start from the same place that other continents were, you'd have anything that you have anywhere else, right? You'd have some, you have murders, you have some poverty, that's just that's humanity since the beginning of time. Absolutely. So the disproportionate delving out of fucked up circumstances being in Africa, in terms if an alien came down, they were just like, what place is the worst place? In terms of that has the most turmoil and everything. If you don't believe that this was intentionally done, meaning not someone saw the future, but meaning that what you see now is systemic ramifications from things that were perpetrated against Africa 400, 500, 1,000 years ago, or not 1,000, but 500, 600 years ago. If you don't believe that those things directly caused what's going on now, then the only alternative, and a friend of mine, actually, a friend of yours too, Tom Levitt, that we went to college with. He's
blacker than me for sure.
Yeah, he actually super cool white dude from Brooklyn, super highly intelligent. He like coined this in terms of saying like, if you don't believe that, that is true, what I just said, then the alternative that you believe is that this continent is quote unquote like behind and underdeveloped by its own volition, right? And so like, then you're saying that like
the continent that holds Egypt, right?
The continent
basic
that
civilization,
the continent that had the most advanced civilization, one, but then two had the most resources.
Even the Middle East,
people came and took exactly like.
The advocates, how do you have the most? You're absolutely right.
How do you have the most resources and then 2,000 years later end up with the least of everything? It's obviously because everything was taken and raped and pillaged, from there. So yes, things that are done now are like Africans on Africans, right, doing things. But it's like it's learned behavior and it's like survivalist behavior from like all the the terrible shit. The other thing I'll say is, and this kind of goes for anybody that I feel like comes to America. It's like so many of like what could have been like and not to say that there aren't super bright minds still in Africa. Obviously there are. Absolutely. But I'm saying like imagine someone's like, oh, Italy, we had Da Vinci and Michelangelo and like these people. Imagine if like out of every three of those people, one of them was like sold into slavery and never became Leonardo da Vinci or never became Michelangelo or never became whoever.
He'd be a terrible slave, Michelangelo. That motherfucker broke his back.
Right.
Terrible
there you go.
Terrible.
But then you never have what you have now. So my point being, like, who knows who was sold and died on the journey and died in the Atlantic Ocean or was super suppressed to be like somebody's like house servant slave, right? Like there's just so much greatness that was just robbed. It just always gets me upset. I know that was like a tangent, but
no, it's a perfect.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
No, I have a lot of friends like that. I have a friend who lives in upstate New York, and you would think, and I've said this before, sometimes he's more conservative than Mike Pence. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's really annoying. Like, I don't mind. I love talking to all types of people, and especially the school that we went to, we had to talk to people like that. We were like forced to talk to people like that. My first class, the person said, "My father paid for your schooling." And I was like, what? I was like, is your father named Debbie Beale? Like, I don't know.
Right.
I was like, what are you talking about? So, he does not believe in white privilege. He does not believe in white guilt. He thinks that everything is circumstantial. Like, even when you try to deduce things and you try to be like, well, then that just means that you believe white people are just better. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's what I'm saying. You have to believe that then. If you
exactly. Yeah, that is exactly to your point. And we'll move on that's exactly to your point. Like, when you deduce it all, you're just like, well, then there's nothing really to, like, you're like back into a corner now. Like, what else is the reason? Like, what else is the reason? So, no, these are great topics. These are great. And we talked about Amy Coney Barrett. And she just got confirmed to the Senate. We all knew that was going to happen. By Halloween, she'll probably be in Supreme Court. Real quick, so we can move on to our other topics, to our other segments. I just want to ask Brandon, do you think from this move, hypothetically, if Biden gets in, do you think, even though he's just contemplating it, do you think he'll pack the court?
Like, is it where he's adding 3 more people or something like that?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know enough about it to know, if I'm being super honest. The only thought I have about any of it is that, I'm sorry if this doesn't answer the question, but maybe it does, is that
you do not have to be sorry.
I don't. The one thing that I don't like is that, and my wife and I talk about this a lot, is like 4 years ago when Obama, or however many years ago,
shout out to the lawyer.
There we go. When Obama was trying to, and I know that was earlier in the year, I think it was January or something like that, right? But he was trying to appoint a Supreme Court justice.
The lame duck presidency.
Right. And the notion was, yes, basically you serve 4 years, so you should be able to do what you want to do within those 4 years, not 3 and 1 extra or whatever. My point, the thing that annoys me now is the same Democrats who are pushing to be able to appoint in the 4th are now flip-flopping and saying, no, because now we should let the new president choose. And I don't like that. And to me, it's on principle. It's not about how bad Donald Trump is. It's not about how good Obama was. It's not about if it's September versus January. Like, to me, if the moral hang up then was a president is for 4 years, they should be the one to select. then whether or not you actually got your way, it shouldn't be now, oh, no, he's incapable of selecting. It's like you have to me anyway, law of the land has to be based on principle, not based on like who does it fit at the right time or whatever. And that's the only part I don't like about this process is that people are using, and I'm saying either way, if you think he should be able to pick or shouldn't, the law, they should just make a law that says in your 4 years until January, whenever inauguration is, up until that day.
It's like January 20th or something like that, or 19th.
Yeah, like to me, the law should be up until that day, you can appoint whoever, or, start the process on whoever, or you can't because it's your final year. Like it has to be one or the other.
They'll make that memorandum
after
now.
This, right?
They kept it purple. They kept that gray area on purpose, though. They definitely did. They kept that gray area, just in case. Like, they were like, we'll throw an alley-oop to whoever gets it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a golden egg. Like right. we'll hide this golden egg. Whoever finds it, Democrat or Republican, you get another Supreme Court nominee. No, I agree with you completely. Kennedy was the last controversial one under Ronald Reagan, I believe. And that was within like the lame duck session, and he got to push this through. Not really though. I think George W. Bush. I think he's the one that confirmed him later. And then historically you saw him get Clarence Thomas. And we're not going to get into the whole history of them. Kagan, Sotomayor. We've had many over the years. But the last three, Kennedy went down, the same one that got appointed by Reagan. Bader Ginsburg was down, and then Scalia. So this is like unprecedented that someone gets 3 in 4 years. It's like everybody talks about the Clintons killing people. Did Trump kill these motherfuckers? No, I'm joking. But Kennedy actually, without getting all conspiracy, he had right before he went down, he had that Deutsche Bank controversy that his son. Hilarious that we talk about Hunter Biden, but actually the Supreme Court's son was in a scandal with Trump. With the Deutsche Bank, and he resigned like 2 weeks later.
Oh, shit.
So there's a lot of fishiness with that. We'll leave you with that.
What the fuck did I hear?
And this is a special What the Fuck Did I Hear? Because this is our second musical guest on the show. Actually, our third. But this one actually has music to give us. You know what I'm saying? We had musical guests, and they brought like an old school track that I was on in like 2009. I'm like, I don't want to hear. Exactly. I don't want to hear 2009.
What'd you do on it? You were rapping, singing?
I was a hype man. I'm from Queens. Okay. I'm from Queens, bro. That's all we do.
Southside, right?
That's all we do, bro.
I just remember you being Super G in the back in the day.
Super G, yes. No, I got to represent Queens. Queens. I love 50, even if he's talking about 62% tax rates and shit. Fucking idiot. Power was good. I didn't get into Power Part 2. I don't really. Do you watch Power Part 2, Brandon? I didn't watch it. I love Mary. I love Method.
She's
good? Is she good at it?
I love Mary. We'll leave it at that.
Okay. If you want to bring it up in the watch section, you can. So let's get into your album, Del, Son of the Struggle. Now I'm gonna only mention this real quick because we're focused on the album, but he has made other LPs and mixtapes. They're available online if you want to go search for them. Hip Hop Head, Maybe Tomorrow, which is one of my favorites, and Top of the Food Chain. But right now we are on Son of the Struggle, the latest project from Del. Del has been doing music for a long time, and he is really good at it, actually. I've seen him in freestyle. I've seen him write. You were really good, Del. And so let me tell you my favorite tracks real quick, and then I want to hear your favorite tracks and like anything that like you want to give us any tidbits on what the track to your daughter, the homage to your daughter, what things mean to you, what stands out. So real quick, let me go on Spotify because it was on my computer screen like an idiot. All right, Son of the Struggle.
Insert Jeopardy music here.
Right. Well, actually, you can start off. Here we go. So Raptors is one of my favorite songs. Actually, that is my favorite songs. Faux Pas is one of them. My Little Girl, like we said, but I actually want you to get into that. That sounds very special. And I really enjoyed it, man. We are a product of the 90s, so I enjoy the intro. I'm actually shocked I didn't get like a little skit in there. But no, Son of the Struggle is a very good album. It's very personal, like all your albums. So get into it, brother. Get into it.
Yeah, no. Coming like you said, I've been doing music for a good long while, and really back from high school. For those who don't know me, I went to the Frederick Douglass Academy in Harlem, and when we were in 10th grade, I want to say, I was 16. a couple friends of mine and myself, we convinced our high school principal to let us essentially ask a third party for funding to build a studio in our high school. Right. So that was like 2001 or something like that. And post that, we started recording and all that kind of stuff. And right around the time when I actually won the Posse scholarship to go to college, that's when things started like, really heating up, where we were, people were like auditioning for making the band, or we were getting records played by certain people. Like, it was starting to heat up just a little bit. And
let them fight.
I kind of had to make the choice, right? Do I want to turn down the scholarship or, but most of my friends weren't going to college. So I felt confident in that I'll go off to school, maybe learn the music and business and all that kind of stuff. And at some point within these 4 years, for sure, that phone call is going to come and I'm going to be out of here. Like, that's 100%. And I don't know if you kind of got that when we were, at the bar. Yeah, I tried to be
Brandon West over here.
Yeah. Any day I just thought, I would be at school, like you said, writing, making beats, whatever the case. So
I'm only wearing this book bag for the aesthetics, motherfucker.
Yeah, I have to. So yeah, fast forward a bit. One of the younger kids who actually watched us in the studio ended up getting that record deal, and he was managed by one of my friends. So his name is Charles Hamilton. He had a song out in 2009 called Brooklyn Girls. He got signed to Interscope. It was like,
I know that song. Oh, shit.
Yeah. $1.5 million deal. And that was, other than him, and he and I were cool, but I didn't grow up with him because he was
That's really cool. That's a very popular song.
Yeah, so we did songs together and stuff like that too. But my friends who were around him, right, who managed him, who did all his mixtapes with him and all of that, essentially when he went to Jimmy Iovine and got the deal, he got a label deal. So everyone else was supposed to come out as well. So by the time I graduated, because that's when he got the deal in 2008, I was like, oh, it's definitely on now. I managed to get the degree and I'm going to be able to, be on.
J. Cole.
And long story short, yeah, I was hoping, right?
Right.
Long story short, he had some mental illness issues, and this was before that was a thing to talk about.
Yeah.
So he ended up getting dropped from Interscope before his debut came out. And it's crazy looking at the XXL freshman cover he's on with Wale, with B.O.B., with Kid Cudi. Like, these are people who were his contemporaries who all, ended up having viable careers.
Mr. Flat Earther.
Yeah, right. So, so anyway, I say that to say after that, I still wanted to do music coming out of school, even though I was disheartened by, being right there and not getting it. So kept doing mixtapes, kept performing on the underground circuit in New York, SOBs, New Eurekan, all the kind of New York staples. And from 2008 to maybe 2014, I was all in on music. So I spent thousands of dollars. I didn't give a shit what jobs I had. Everything was to pay the bills for music, right? And so around 2014, I just kind of got burned out, to be honest. And the reason why this is relevant to Son of the Struggle is
very relevant.
I stopped making music in 2014. So this now in 2020, I was still done for the last 6 years. And I can tell you honestly, if it wasn't for quarantine, I wouldn't have even made another album. It would have been done.
Thank goodness.
But this year kind of pushed me to say, thank you, bro. It kind of pushed me to be more creative. And, here we are with this body of work that I obviously feel is my best body of work and the most mature body of work.
Who's the graphic artist for the album cover?
I actually ended up making the album cover.
Nice.
Quarantine shit you pick up in quarantine.
I love it.
You're on YouTube. How do you make an album?
Well, yeah, being in the intercepts we are, of course. I noticed that. I'm like, nice. Look at you with little graphic design skills over there.
Just trying, man. And it's the rose coming out of the concrete.
A little Tupac over here.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then I made it sort of with the purple pink flair because I'm from Harlem and that's
you're thoughtful. That's why you're here, man. Right. That's why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something. It's placed. You're a producer. You were a producer first, to be honest, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You've always been able to arrange music, and you were a fantastic rapper. So that's not even taken away from that.
I appreciate
You're always someone that has a great ear for music. So when we used to have music debates and stuff like that, you always knew what you were talking about. And especially from something that I was always missing, or anybody else that was in those conversations. Even though Harry, I think that's why Harry chuckled before. In our school, we were able to do the same thing too. They built a studio.
Oh, that's dope.
I didn't do that. I was in the drama department, but my brother was, and I think Harry was too, right? Harry did.
Well, no, I just spent a lot of time there. I was in the art part. I was in arts, and I was doing video and stuff. So I was pretending my friends, whatever they were doing, was my project.
Right.
I'm a dumb.
Yeah, so I was in there the whole time.
What high school is this again? I forget.
Renaissance Charter. Renaissance Charter.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few of our colleagues, Connor and stuff like that, have been there. They came from there. Danny Sanchez in Taiwan.
Danny Sanchez. Okay.
Right, doing big. I got to get him on the show. He's amazing.
Yeah, he would be dope. He'd be a dope guest.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. We try to bring people that are great brands. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, like multifaceted people, like you just said before, like the job, and you've had an incredible job. That's hilarious. That like you were just like, especially with the recession and stuff like that. Like I had a bumpy road to get my degree. Like you were more not. I don't want to say smooth sailing. Nobody's smooth sailing. Even if you go like straightforward.
I did it in 4 years. Yeah,
exactly. So, but like even with that, like you would think that you get rewarded with like a great career right away. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you took a long time to get that. And even within that journey, you had the eye on the prize for music. It turned out to something beautiful in my mind.
Thank you, bro.
No problem. So again, we got Raptors, we got Khadijah Basin Music, we got Back in the Day. Oh, that's actually, I didn't even say that. That was one of my, the chorus of that. That's hilarious. It's like, I would go back, but then I thought about it, I was broke, and I would not.
Fuck that. Yeah, exactly. That was the flip that, a lot of people didn't catch that too. Funny enough.
That was bad funny. Like, I was listening to the shower, and I was just like, oh, shit.
No, you know what inspired that one, and not the song, but the flip there. It was always Freeway's flip side, because I always was impressed by, it's a party song, and people are, especially in New York, you usually just like, getting a dance on flip side. It's a dope ass song, but people don't pay attention now on the chorus when he's like the we rip crowds, whole lot of bottles and a little, like the first half of the hook, he's talking about partying, and then he goes flip side. Crack house, a little bit, and he starts talking about how they're making drugs, right? And so that was always like in the back of my mind. So when I was writing back in the days, I was like, what if half of the hook is like positive, and then the other half is like, nah, fuck that, I don't want to go back. And it worked out pretty good.
Nice. Before we move on to a little bit of music news, please tell us about the track, the very intimate and personal track about your daughter, Drea, beautiful young lady.
Oh, thank you, man.
No problem.
Yeah, so that was actually the last song that I wrote for the album. Maybe finished it maybe like 3 weeks before I went to the studio to record it. And really because I'm not a big fan of like the cliche, like this is for my son or my daughter or whatever. And
then you need to leave this show because this is all about cliches. This show. No, I'm joking. Keep going.
And it's because everyone's a creative, so obviously they're allowed to, make what they want. But the songs that have always stuck out to me were the people who were able to take that idea and take it to like another level. Like I always, I put out a meme the other day that said, Haley's song.
Yes, I knew it.
I thought to me, Haley's song is the best done like tribute. In terms of hip hop, tribute, child. And
that's when it was like at its peak too. The tributes to daughters and mothers and all that. Yes,
I love that. Just when the song opens and he's like, I don't sing, whatever, and then you get like this essentially beautifully sung chorus from him, which is part of the reason why I didn't bring in a singer, because I was like, when my daughter hears this when she's grown, I'm not a singer, but I want to hear me, being vulnerable and harmonizing or whatever. But I also appreciated on Haley's song that once he got to the rap verse, like he didn't dim the light of how nice he was lyrically to get the point across. And that is something that I always feel like people do with those tribute songs. It's like you have the album and someone's like rapping their ass off, and then they'll get to the tribute song, and then it's kind of like they just let the foot off the gas, right? And I felt like with M, he was able to go there and still keep it, on brand. So anyway, with my song, I wanted to write about obviously my daughter and the experiences, but then I got kind of caught in like do I talk about like real personal stuff with her? Do I talk about like advice I would give her? Like that was always the situation I was stuck in. And I think by the end I found like a perfect, sort of sweet spot there. So I love that song. It's a beautiful song. A super special song. It's not my favorite song, but it's definitely a very special song.
Good, man. Sure. Well, Harry and I do not have any offspring, so we're taking notes, man. We're like, when we come out with a rap album, we're like, how do we make a tribute to our daughter, our future? But, well, not that I'm even raising anything with you, Harry. Fuck out of here. You gotta get rid of the pop dolls first, motherfucker.
Don't hate.
So, speaking of evil twin, no, I'm joking. We have Noah Cyrus. We're not going to go too far into it because she was barely wearing anything anyway. So, like, there's really not much to talk about. She practically did what her sister did a few years ago with Robin Thicke. When was that? Like 2014, I believe. When Blurred Lines and Wrecking Ball and all that shit was happening, and Bangers, I believe, her album and shit like that.
Is that the one where she had like she was swinging on the Wrecking Ball?
Yes,
yeah, yes. Wrecking Ball.
Yo,
I hated that whole era.
Yo, I know. The mad Karens out of the world, that's like their theme song. You're like, Wrecking Ball! Like, they be coming out of nowhere with that shit. Like, holy shit. Anyway, so all those Kool-Aid Karens, good job with the Wrecking Ball. But anyway, Noah Cyrus, they made a big deal about it. She actually has a hit song. It's like with this black country singer, not Nas X. Everybody like always like puts it towards him. But Harry, can you find that real quick? Say it again.
To Darius Rucker, the god of the.
I love Darius Rucker. I actually saw him in the Blowfish last summer.
Yeah, man, legendary.
All right, I'm about to blow up somebody, but I'm not gonna say the name of my cousin. My cousin dated him this year, by the way. One of my cousins.
Really?
I know. I'm not gonna blow her spot up. They were dating for a little while, and when we were in Paris, it's funny. She told me, but I like kind of forgot. And so a lot of people were like, yeah, she's dating Hootie the Bullet Bill. I'm like, no, what? No, she's not. So then I go to Paris. She goes, who'd you think I was talking about? I was like, oh, shit, you did tell me.
Really him.
I was like, oh, damn.
Really him.
Right, but.
Jimmy Allen.
Okay, good. So she did a duet with him, and that actually did very well in the country circuit. And so that wasn't enough for her. So she wore, and you'll see it in the graphics for the YouTube subscribers out there. It was a transparent dress, and it had like basically a.
I'm looking at it now.
Yes,
it was like a transparent bikini
or something like that. But she wore it in the music video too. Like it was a very similar outfit. So whatever, it's like
it doesn't look bad.
It doesn't look terrible. She's 20.
She look good, though.
Yeah, right.
I mean, she does. No, she's a good-looking person. I looked at her TikTok, too. Like, oh, man, I did my due diligence. I had to research, man. I had to research that.
But it's wild, though.
It is wild. So kudos to Billy Ray Cyrus, man. You are producing some great genes out there, brother. Anyway, so moving on to the Joe Rogan Experience, episode 1544. Don't have to go too deep into it. 1554, Kanye West. The only reason why we're talking about this is because this has been on the books for years. Joe Rogan is trying to, and there was actually a pitch. Him and Charlamagne the God were actually supposed to do like a tour together or something like that with Kanye West, and it actually fizzled out years ago. And then Joe Rogan said that he was just going to have it on the show himself. And so finally, years later, again, surrounding mental health, and we know Kanye West, and Brandon said it before, we've had these people in our lives before, and they're just getting highlighted now. So right now, bipolar is the soup of the day, the soup du jour. And Kanye West, unfortunately, is the poster boy for it at the moment until we get more normalized focus onto it. But it was a very popular episode, and it definitely was worth the hype. I listened to like the first hour of it, and it was very good. It's nothing new, by the way. There's nothing revealing about it. It's
right.
Like if you're interested in Kanye, if you like him as like we said, as a brand, as a person, as an icon, which I do.
I love Kanye.
Yeah.
I love Kanye.
Even when he did something bad,
I'm very disappointed in a lot of stuff he's done.
Me too.
I still love him. Right.
Me too. I don't think I'm ever going to stop either. I don't know why.
Yeah, exactly.
He would have to do something really, and he said some wild shit with the slavery is a choice, and I still didn't abandon him. I still was like,
well, the thing is to your point about bipolar, not, just to stay on there for a quick second. It's like people, you can't say like, pray for mental health and we need funding for mental health. And then when you see a person like demonstrating that they have a mental illness, then say, oh, cancel, whatever. Like, what do you think that people do? They say shit like slavery was a choice, or, these other things. Like, otherwise, you're not truly really supportive of it, because what people want to do is say, pray for people who are on opioids, pray for people who have mental health issues, pray for blah, blah, blah. But then when someone does a thing that you would do on opioids, then it's like, cancel. And it's like, so which one is it, fam? Like, you know what I mean? And that's how I feel about Kanye. Like, obviously, I think he makes a lot of bad choices, but if we're being honest, he made bad choices from the beginning of his career. It's just that a lot of them turned out to be revolutionary and like innovative. And now on the tail end of his career, on the latter part of his career, the bad choices, they don't look as well. But he's never been a well thought out person, right? And like that's sort of the problem now. Yeah, exactly.
Well, he said that. He said that in the Joe Rogan Experience. He said to capsulate it, he was just like, and he said the same thing as you said. He's like, now you're seeing a bipolar person. I like to think of the audience of Kanye West or fans like myself and yourself, not like yourself, my bad. The people that you were talking about, fans of Kanye that have jumped ship or whatever the case may be because of his mental health struggles. I think of homeless people. I think of people that go, oh, feed the homeless, feed the vets, this and that. And then when they see a homeless person, they walk right
over. Treat them like shit. Exactly. That's exactly it. And the thing I will say that the part that I guess disappoints me the most about Kanye was it actually came from Talib Kweli, who I was listening to on a podcast, funny enough. He was on Jamel Hill's.
Say about Kanye.
Yeah.
That opening tour.
And you know how close they are. So, like, if you're hearing it from him, you're getting something like real. He was on Jamel Hill's podcast. I think it's called Unbothered. She's great. Her podcast is amazing. And he was saying that after he saw Kanye in the Oval Office, he texted him and then he called him and he's like, hey, if you're going to be talking about stuff, here's some information to just make sure you're knowledgeable about it. So he's like, I sent him these links, like digestible stuff though. He's like, I sent him the YouTube clips. I told him I'll get him on the phone with like Michael Eric Dyson or this guy or that guy. Like, he's like, I sent him all this shit. And he said, he texted me back. He said, bro, can you throw it in a one sheet for me?
Oh
so he was like, that showed me that like, he's not interested in doing the work to speak. He's just saying, I want to learn as little as I can and then say whatever I want. And that's the part that I don't like about it. It's not that we all shouldn't have an opinion, whether we're celebrities or athletes or janitors or whoever. It's like, whoever you are, I just want you to be knowledgeable on what you're saying. That's why even when we were setting this podcast up, I was like, I'll speak to what I know, and the stuff I don't know, I won't speak on, right? And I feel like with Kanye, he'll intentionally not know what the fuck he's talking about and then say, but I want to be the person to speak on it. Like, not a person, I want to be the person. And that's like fucking insane. It's like the most Trumpian shit, ever. So,
and when you said the one page, and I'm actually going to come to his defense a little bit, even though there's no proof that this happened. There's no proof that this happened. So that could definitely be right, what you just said, as far as the Kweli's perspective, as far as like putting it on the one page. But we do know this about Trump. Trump only takes his information on one page. That's literally does. So you could either take it as, and a lot of people say this about Kanye, that he literally is the black version of Trump. Like, you know what I'm saying? And even Trump, he even said that on the interview. He was like, a lot of people said that I am like him. And he goes, I have to agree. He goes, there's like a lot of people who feel that I act just like him and that like I care about my personal brand a lot more than all other things. And this and that. I was like, damn, that really is him. Or you could take it as he was trying to get it to. So again, I read the John Bolton book. I read the Mary Trump book, and they both confirm that he basically can't read. Not Kanye, not the college dropout, the guy that went to Wharton. He's the one that can't read. So it's notorious. General Patton, Pompeo, everybody, they all said, the chief of staff, former chief of staff John Kelly, Steve Bannon, they all testify and say, Kellyanne Conway, they all say he will not first of all, even if you put it on one page, there's no guarantee he'll read it. In the Bolton book, he said whenever they would read a brief, and especially when they would put it on one page, he would go like this. He would still get bored and he'd be like this. Where's the action? Where's the action section?
What?
Yeah, he would still do that. So again, sorry. No, I'm not saying Kanye. I'm not saying Kanye did, but if I knew that about Trump, I would put it on one page too.
And I would put it on one page. I think for me, it's just like, or find other ways to, like, it's a difference between me and you knowing it because we're not making choices for people's lives, right? If I know he is, like, get him a documentary, get him a fucking, put it in a Hamilton play and show him the thing, right? Like, do whatever
even Pence saw that.
Right, exactly. So whatever, but yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna move on.
Well, hello there, Mr. UPS man.
What the fuck did I play?
All right, so Harry, we haven't heard much from you, so we'll start off with you. Pokemon Sword and Shield, the new downloadable content. Go ahead, Harry. Deep dive, motherfucker.
Fuck yeah. So Sword and Shield came out about last year. They recently, it's a new game on like the actual internet. So they came out with a second DLC. The clown, no, not the clown. the something Tundra, Crown Tundra, and it basically continues off from the original storyline and the other DLC, and you got to find like alternate versions of Gen 1 Pokemon and Gen 3 Pokemon. So it's like same Pokemon but different design, and it's like a open world experience, and you got to get a Pokedex based on that little island, which I already got, minus the few Pokemon I'm missing. But yeah, it's fun so far. Some Pokemon possessed some other dude. So it's a little crazy. So
I didn't know they could do that. I didn't know they could do that. Question for you. How many, because, we're like...
Brandon, I'm so proud of you have a question. That's so great. I had zero. Go ahead.
How many
895?
What? Get the fuck out of here.
895.
I'm from the 150 era when it was...
I thought there was over 200, Harry.
I said 894.
Oh, 800. My bad.
Wow, that's crazy. But remember when it was
1,000? Shit.
Remember when it was just 150 and you could almost like name every single one?
151. No, I can name them all, but I have to see the picture. I can't name them off the top of my head. But like if I see a picture of it, I know who it is.
You know who it is. That's crazy. That's dope.
Harry, I refuse to be impressed by that.
It's the one game listen, it's the one of the few games I buy, like, no matter.
I know.
That one is Kingdom Hearts, God of War. Like, there's certain franchises I just...
Look, man, a couple of years ago, I spent like $100 on a Telltale game because they kept every stage I advanced to. They were like, you pay. No, so I didn't finish Batman. It was Walking Dead.
Yeah, Walking Dead.
I looked at my...
That's actually a good one. That's a really good one.
I got my iTunes receipt. It's like $60 in there.
You want the full game.
I was just going every stage. So, hey.
Whatever full game, though. They got you to buy the full game.
Yeah, basically. That's how much the game costs anyway.
Yeah. Well, I didn't put this on the sheet, but there's if you have hair on your nuts, there is a DLC for Ghost of Tsushima. And so if you want to get into that, he has extra missions that you can get on. And as a matter of fact, Harry is going to introduce this as well to us real quick because I've never played this game still, but it's very, very popular. Among Us. Tell us about Among Us real quick before we tell what happened with AOC and the platform on Twitch.
So Among Us is this game, basically, it's a chaotic democracy. So basically, depending on how you have the game set up, there's one or more imposters which go around killing people. And then whoever's not an imposter is a crewmate who has to then figure out who the imposter is. Now, the people who are crewmates have tasks.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to say what that's called from the article that I read. It's a game of social deduction. Go back, my bad.
Yeah, it's more like chaotic democracy is how I see it. But basically, it's
he said, fuck what you said.
Right? Right? So they have crewmates who have to do tasks around the ship, fixing wires and all that, while the imposters go around trying to kill people, go through vents. And so you're doing all these tasks, and out of nowhere, you can just see a dead body on the ground. And then you report it, and then there's like an emergency meeting. You say, I saw a dead body here. You have to figure out who the imposter is. Now, people have different tricks like, they kill a person, but then they self-report and they blame the other person. Be like, I saw you kill this person. Or like, they might come out the vent accidentally or get caught on a security camera.
And then we come from areas that don't snitch, so we're not playing this game.
Yeah. No. There's no way to snitch. So there's, like, depending on, like, if there are two imposters, then there might be a snitch. Like, the one imposter is trying to get the other one out to, like, let them keep going. But then some people cheat and, like, automatically call meetings knowing who the imposter is and shit. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's quite, and then, so you vote and you have to explain why one person should leave. So, like, people can, like I said, people could gang up on one person or randomly say someone is sus, and that's based. So sus is now, like, the word of 2020. Everyone is sus.
I mean, we've been saying it for a long time, but yeah.
Right, that's like a New York staple.
No, exactly, but, like, now it's everywhere, like.
Crazy.
Anyway, so here's the tweet from AOC, our Congress member from the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens. Join me, I don't know how to say his name, Pokimane, LOL, Hassan the Hun, and more on Twitch. Are you on Twitch at all, Brandon, or do you mark the research?
I know what it is, but I
Gotcha.
Logic's on there.
That's right. $3 million.
He retired. He retired to go.
He didn't retire.
What do you mean he's on there? What is he? Is he a host?
He's an official sponsor. Like he's sponsored. He's a sponsored game player.
Oh,
so he said he retired. He didn't retire. Same thing with Lupe Fiasco. He's a professional gamer now. They still make music. It's just their number one thing is gaming now.
Yeah. He wanted to do something to stay home with his kid.
Yeah, which makes sense. Ludacris, the movie business, they all do that.
Well, ironically now, it's like you have no fucking choice. So it's dope that they got ahead of the curve, right?
Well, no, it was after his tour last year is when he was like, oh, this is my last tour. Yeah, it was before COVID was a thing.
Right, so yeah it's perfect.
So this was actually made to get people to vote. So Twitch is a huge platform, and again, Brandon's in advertising, so obviously it had to get on his radar somewhere. We're into popular culture, and we love video games, so that's the broadcasting app, the video game broadcasting app. So AOC, I don't even think she's over 30 yet, and she is reaching a millennial Generation Z crowd, and it's perfect. It's perfect. We talked about the voting numbers. We talked about the voting numbers in the NBA and the America. It's already gone up significantly. Whoever you voted for, it doesn't matter. You're now participating in democracy. So whatever way we can entice people to vote, I'm all for it. So
31.
Nice. Oh, so she is.
She's a millennial.
So officially declare Orange Sus is among us. So she had to throw in the Orange Sus, who is the villain, I guess, in the game, and who was also a villain in our real life.
So no.
Hiding in the Oval Office.
Every character is a different color. Every character is like red, blue, and all that, and that's how people go by. So it's like, oh, red sus, or like I saw black vent.
Okay. Wow. I love when you ruin my jokes. I love them. Anyway, so do we have anything else? Nope. Let's get on to the interview with Mr.
What the fuck was that? Let's do this.
What the fuck did I watch?
Okay, this is actually one of my favorite parts of the show. And so here we go. Oh, yeah, because the tweet is what fucking messed me up. That's why I don't usually put those notes there. Anyway, so this is the portion where we watch binge-worthy things, either on film and television. We have a perfect person here today. This is why he's a great guest, because he can touch on a lot of subjects, including what he's promoting. So,
but nothing is on Hulu that we're talking about, which is kind of
no,
we got no Hulu.
But he's Dell, so it doesn't matter.
I don't Hulu anyway.
He's Dell, you know what I'm saying? And we didn't mention the Success Academy either. We didn't want him to get in trouble with Diddy. We didn't want him to get in trouble.
What's the Success Academy?
I'm sorry. That's the Diddy school that he set up.
Oh yeah.
When I worked for Harlem RBI, when they were raising capital to build the Dream School in Harlem. That was basically the competition. They were always pitting themselves against Diddy. They were just the Success Academy, the Success Charter Academy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that was I
forgot what that was called. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's actually not done very well. LeBron is the real blueprint on what is it called?
Right.
Was it called the Rise Academy? I forgot what it's called. It's called Harry, look that up real quick. The Academy for LeBron in Ohio, Akron. But anyway, so Possessor. Well, Promise. I promise.
Yeah.
Another catchy. I promise.
Another catchy.
Right? Shout out to Steve Jobs on that one. So Possessor, video on demand. We talked about this in the pre-meeting, so I won't waste anybody's time. I saw Possessor. Again, it is not again. Nobody heard me in the pre-meeting. Fuck all ya. In Possessor, it's basically about this woman who is an assassin. She enters into an animus, just like Matrix or whatever. She gets plugged in and she goes into other people's body, into their brain, kind of like that Jennifer Lopez movie. I forgot what it was called.
Cell? Was that no?
The Cell, yes.
Oh, yeah.
She goes into other people's brains and she assassinates whoever they need her to assassinate. The person who is the host fights back and tries to affect her life in return. So that's a very good movie. I highly recommend that. The Secrets We Keep is another very good film. This is more of an indie flick. This is also in the theaters, video on demand. It's about a Romanian woman in the 50s, and she's living her suburban life, and then one day she sees someone that she remembers from a Nazi Holocaust containment camp. So she goes, so it's kind of like that movie with Hugh Jackman, Prisoners. She takes matters into her own hands, and it gets crazy from there. And from then on, you have to figure out if he's a Nazi or not, because you don't know if she's going crazy or if she's doing the right thing. It's a very good movie. Trial of Chicago 7, Sacha Baron Cohen, my man Kendall from Succession. You got so many high-profile characters, Fred Hampton, Bobby Seals from the Black Panther. So basically, the Trial of the Seven is the protests of the Vietnam War. And what really fucked up, by the way, Frank Langella did a very good job playing the judge. I hated that motherfucker. And I love Frank Langella, great actor. He was the judge who just like basically tried to trample on everybody and tried to basically throw Bobby Seale in jail. He wasn't even a part of that protest. He was a part of a case that was going down in Connecticut, like a killing, which he was actually absolved of. And he did most of his jail time from the contempt from this case that he wasn't even supposed to be a part of. Bullshit. Bullshit. And as a matter of fact, Fred Hampton got assassinated while he was on trial during the Trial 7. So a lot of shit happened to Bobby Seals while it was happening. So a lot of injustice happened to the leader of the Black Panther. But with this movie, again, and it's not just about him, it's about a lot of people in this. But the fucked up part about it is they were doing this trial, and in order to indict him, in order to get him successfully indicted, they threw him onto that case while he was going through the Connecticut case so that he could just be found guilty. Crazy movie. Obviously, it's historically based, so you'll get to find out what really happens. Nobody really wins. There's actual real life politicians that are from that movie. Oh damn, Harry, could you look that up real quick? There's a congressman. I think he just retired recently, but he actually became a senator after this movie. So then we have Borat, subsequent Moviefilm, the sequel to my man Ali G, my man Sacha Baron Cohen, the spouse of Isla Fisher. It was okay. I'll let Harry get more into it, but the first half. So when you see the whole movie, you appreciate it more. But the first half was just very, very, in my opinion, using women as the vehicle to show feminism. So the reason why I say that is because we talked about cuties a couple weeks ago. So I don't agree with this statement, by the way. A lot of people say that you have to, they're like, you don't have to exploit children to show child exploitation. So the same thing and I don't mean to get like super analytical over Borat. But Borat, in the first half, they were using his daughter. I'll reveal that part. He has a daughter in this movie, and they were using her as the vehicle to show discrepancies in feminism. And obviously it's Borat, so he's going to show it in very grotesque ways. So I didn't see the point of it in the first half. Then when it got to Giuliani, then when it got to the COVID part and stuff like that, that's when it got really funny, and that's when you started to look at it as a whole film. Harry, what's your take on it?
So before I continue, the actress who plays his daughter was born in 1996. So she's like 24.
Who's that?
Her name is Maria Baklava. She played his daughter, who was supposed to be 15 in the movie, but she's really 24.
Hold on, what was the question I asked?
No, you're saying that they're using children to exploit for feminism reasonings. I don't know what you. Yeah.
We went into this conversation. We're not getting into cuties.
We're not. I'm just saying the actress was 24. She wasn't really 15.
But hold up, did you find the actor? Did you find the senator that was in I
don't know the senator's name.
Trial of the Seven.
I don't know what's the senator's name. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. You just look at the cast.
You know who played it? I don't know. I wouldn't know what the name is because they don't say.
It'll say it, Harry, but it's okay. Thanks for looking.
Anyway, so Borat is basically, he gets thrown in jail because
Tom Hayden. Eddie Redmayne played Tom Hayden. Tom Hayden is a California senator.
I didn't know that.
Keep going.
So anyway, Borat, he goes to jail because in Kazakhstan because of what happened, because of the movie, basically, Kazakhstan became a laughingstock. So
don't give the whole fucking plot, motherfucker.
I'm not.
Tell your review.
So I found it quite enjoyable. It was definitely a great sequel. I thought it was hilarious. It really shows the staple on how bad Trump supporters are. Someone literally did a fucking Hitler thing in a clip during the movie.
Yeah.
It's bad how white people are. White people.
Go ahead, Brandon. What'd you say, Brandon?
No, I was gonna say a lot of times the Trump supporters is they don't even know what they're talking about, right? It's one thing to firmly believe in your belief system and all that, but then it's they don't even know the fuck they're talking about along the way. So it's just crazy.
Bunch of C students.
Right. Hey, I was a C student.
You're definitely American. You definitely. Or did I interrupt somebody? What did somebody say?
No.
Oh, good. So go ahead, Harry.
That was my help. Oh yeah, so it's great. It's great. Oh, there's a controversy with Rudy Giuliani in that movie.
Oh yeah.
So the daughter
he was just tucking in his shirt.
Mic off or something like that.
Yeah. So he went in a room with the Borat's daughter to take off a microphone. Who goes into a bedroom to take off a microphone?
Lights off, by the way. Lights whatever.
Off.
You guys are going to see it. I'm sure
with drinks in their hand, and he's laying on the bed with his hand in his pants.
It wasn't super revealing, but it was just like, why, bro? Why would you even put yourself there? But he also married his cousin, which is a joke in the movie, too. So, this guy's an idiot. This guy's an idiot. But did you like it better than the first, or do you think that it's on par with the first at all? I don't think so.
It's not as great as the first. It's definitely something that I think he just wanted to make a movie, and he knows how people react to Borat. Yeah. So it's like, how do I get through the American population? Let me make Borat real quick, go back to Kazakhstan.
Did you guys see the Showtime show that he had?
No.
So let me find out because I always butcher the name. Who is America? There you go. Who is America?
Oh,
that was excellent. That was excellent. That was really good. That one, like Brandon said, they go so hard for their beliefs. There's a part where they're trying to find people in the Taliban, and they dress up as they put actual anatomically correct vaginas on as strap-ons as protective gear, and they actually put this on, and they start rubbing each other, and one of them goes like this. He goes, "Wow, it's actually pretty moist." And this is to fight terrorists. This is he convinced them. So to me, this was way better than Borat, the one that I'm talking about. This is America. So Borat is good. It's good. And Harry's right. He did it for the political season. He did it to get relevance within Borat. But if it was just based on making a quality sequel, he missed by far. It's not even close to the first Borat. It's not even as good as Ali G. It's not even as good as Bruno. It's probably one of the worst movies he's ever come out with, to be honest. But that wasn't the point.
I'd rather watch Borat 2 again than watch Bruno again.
What?
Yeah.
Homophobic, Harry?
No. I wasn't comfortable watching the movie, personally.
I even like The Dictator better, but it's all good. It's all good. We all have our personal taste. So, I would love Brandon's opinion on this, actually. So we talked about it last week. I'm a fan of Quibi. Quibi's gone. Actually, and that's why I want to ask you. I want to know where you think. So, my bad. Your thoughts on the folding of Quibi, and also where do you think that this content is going to go? Because it's not just going to disappear. You know what I'm saying? There was actually quality Emmy nominated and Emmy winning content on there. So I want to ask you, who do you think would want to purchase this content or license?
So yeah, I would say the thoughts on Quibi. I think that. Something like that comes down to if you believe or if you don't, right? To me, knowing how often I use YouTube, not just for, music or whatever, but, for anything. I use YouTube for interviews, for podcasts, for whatever. At the end of the day, content is content. And I think that the creators of Quibi and the funders of Quibi are still in that sort of old mentality of the higher the grade of quality, the more people will be interested to watch. And while that is probably true for us, meaning people who grew up on Jerry Bruckheimer, fucking great, big films and all that, the Gen Zers and even lower who are coming up now, the quality doesn't matter, right? Someone's live,
so true.
Tekashi gets out of prison and says, I'm going live at 3 p.m. and you're going to get more views on that than you get on the freaking, if Kerry Washington was to come out and say, I'm doing a show with Oprah coming on ABC this Friday, you'll probably get more viewers on his Instagram live with him sitting in the
line, brother. You are not lying at all.
Right. And so you have to know within that scope that what you make is really just about the context of what you make, not the how great the content was produced or whatever. So I think with Quibi, they put all of their, and I'm not saying that they don't have quality context too, because I heard that the content was really good.
It was good.
But they went all in on that. And I just don't feel like the people who they were trying to hit, the kind of people who will pay to watch something for 10 minutes, they don't care to pay generally to watch it for 10 minutes. If that makes sense. So I didn't see it working for them. On top of it, when they rolled out, because I know, like you said, I work in marketing and we had to learn all these different brands' value propositions. Their big thing was commute. and they were really, really heavy focused on
and nobody commuting
and how no one's commuting this year. So you launch in April or May or whatever it was, no one's commuting. It's like a recipe for disaster, basically.
Yeah, it was just really bad timing. And you're right. They put all their eggs in one basket and it all crushed, unfortunately.
Right.
Again, I enjoyed it. And they were also going through a lawsuit. Not to say that Meg Whitman and a bunch of the TV execs couldn't battle that. They definitely could. But it was just a recipe for disaster, man. I think the model, and I said this on last episode, I think the model of it is going to succeed. I think as far as quick and to be honest, it wasn't even that impressive. What they were if you take 90 minutes, which is considered a motion picture, 30 minutes is considered an episode or episodic. But if you take something all they were doing was breaking it down.
Where we ain't live a suburb life. Babies gripping hammers like the shit is they birthright. Shooters catching bodies before they had their first fight. Killers pray to God, but they ain't been to church twice. This was the streets, look. I heard it, but the shit was a wild tease. No hustlers that I knew was taking trips to the Maldives. No hustlers that I knew was taking flights to the hot spots. Only time they flew was from the cops when the block hot. And that ain't no knock hot. I just knew it wasn't for me. Cherished the moments when my cousin was free. Dave was in his late 20s, busy getting money when some nigga that he robbed ran down and left him bloody. Andy called me with the news as he pieced it together. He knew I was off in college but could reach me whenever. If I should die, don't cry, my niggas. Cause it told me a month prior, wasn't even surprised, my niggas. Back in the days when I was young, I had to get anymore. But some days I said I wish I was a kid again. Then I remembered I was broke, man. A nigga was poor, but I'm saying nah, I wouldn't do that shit again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I said I wish I was a kid again. Then I remembered I was broke, man. A nigga was poor, but I'm saying nah, I wouldn't do that shit again. Take the good with the bad shit. Couple dark nights, drove some good niggas bad shit. My man lost his mind when he moved upstate. You would think it'd be better for his morale, but it was too damn late. Analyze all the trauma we seen, all the drama, the screams, the llamas, machines, the mamas, the dreams. For they babies all gone in the blink of an eye, dog. Niggas holding the cannon, super steady, no tripod. This way before iPods. We was on the train with a Walkman. Older niggas waving a heart. Damn, you just trying to stay away from their purview, but reciprocate energy that they could get hurt too. You lacing your curfew. That's if you have one. Lot of hood stories, these ain't even the sad ones, ain't even the bad ones. So let me just be clear, Jada Kid's voice, I'm just happy to be here. Back in the days when I was young, I had to get anymore. But some days I said I wish I was a kid again. Then I remembered I was broke, man. A nigga was poor, but I'm saying nah, I wouldn't do that shit again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I said I wish I was a kid again. Then I remembered I was broke, man. A nigga was poor, but I'm saying nah, I wouldn't do that shit again.
Lesson this week. Sometimes you fall in love and you think you feel that way forever. You change your life and ignore your friends cause you think it can't get any better. But then love goes away no matter what it doesn't say it's strong. And then you're left with nothing cause you're thinking with your dog. So watch out for the lover. It can destroy like a typhoon wind. Just play it cool and don't be a fool.
And never let poontang come between you and your friends.
Damn right, Garrett.
Really, nigga?
Oh, yeah. So something like Free Ray Sean, starring Lawrence Fishburne. That was 90 minutes, and it was 15 episodes, 6 minutes each. That's all they did. That's basically what they did. Like I worked with editors, so have you. Obviously it's a hard job. It's more tedious than hard, but yeah, if you're a full-time editor, that doesn't take that long. You just go like this, like take this 90-minute movie and turn it into an episode. And we talked about this with Quentin Tarantino. They're doing that with his films because they're insanely long. And so Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Hateful Eight are being made into actually, I think already one of them is. Hateful Eight is actually an episode form on Netflix. And and they're doing that with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And they want to do that with some of Stephen King's movies. So Quibi, not to say that Quibi's like the first one to think about this, breaking down your content. And many people have done this. Many people have done this. Even with content creators out there on YouTube. Sometimes they take footage from an episode and they just break it down and put it on different platforms to get syndicated and shit like that. So that's not something new. But I meant as far as the attention span and taking something and just rebranding it and repurposing it, I think the television industry, the streaming, OTT, I definitely think they're going to go in that direction.
I think so, too. I think probably the biggest reason why Quibi failed and why some of these other ones will probably fail, too, is you have to remember, or everyone has to remember, like, the reason why these things became popular was because of control, right? It was like, I'm in control of when and where I watch whatever I want to watch. But what comes with that control is I also can watch what I want to watch, which when Netflix was like the main person doing it, they had almost everything. And even Hulu, when it launched, it was more about next day viewing, right? So if I missed This Is Us, I missed, fucking whatever other.
And now with the live TV, you don't even have that anymore either.
Right.
Yeah, DVR.
Right, exactly. So the point being, it used to be a lot more consolidated, right? So if I pay $15 for Netflix or I pay $12 or $5 for Hulu, whatever the standard one is, I'm at least, instead of cable, I'm getting most of what I would have seen on cable in one or two places for a lot less. What's happening now is that because that system worked, the people who make the content, NBC Universal, HBO, Quibi, whoever, they're all, CBS, they're all saying, I want to take my content from these other distributors and make my own version of Netflix.
Yeah.
And now what's happened is, in order to catch everything that you would have caught before, you have to buy 6 or 7 of these things, which when the prices add up, you're back up to $150.
Yeah, you're not cutting cable anymore.
Exactly. You're not cutting cable. So I say that to say, now it's going to become who already has the brand trust with people to say, I'm going to keep my Netflix, even if the shit that I see on Quibi looks cooler than the shit that I'm watching on Netflix. I would rather roll the dice and say there's a better chance that Netflix is going to have, or rather, I trust Netflix based on 10 years that they'll have something I want to watch more than me rolling the dice on this Quibi thing. And maybe I like it, maybe I don't, but either way, I'm paying however much it costs a month. I forget how much.
It was pretty low, and they had like a 3-month trial as well.
Okay.
Pretty standard, pretty standard.
So the more segmented it gets, I think the more some of these places are gonna fail, right? And and just to jump into one more thing, I'll say I'm I think I'm like a super MCU guy. Like I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Which is hilarious. We didn't get into it all.
Yo, I got a whole shelf of Deadpool.
Oh, so then you already know.
I didn't know. Of course I didn't know.
I spent over $100. Spent over $100 seeing Endgame 5 times. My record 5 times.
I thought you were about to say the MCU. You spent over $100. I was like, that is not accurate. But then you just got the movie. I'm like, holy shit.
Thousands.
Is that a personal ticket or is that like your family?
No, this is me going.
Shit!
This many times. I've never went with my family. This is me going.
Right, like Dave Chappelle, ain't no dinner thing.
Right. But I bring up the MCU to say, just like you said, me working in the industry, to see this being done with regards to the Spider-Man IP is incredible. And it's a testament to, eventually the pendulum is going to swing the other way. People get so greedy that when them numbers don't come in the way that they thought they would, you'll see people collaborating again. Because Sony was so gung-ho about...
Yeah, Morbius looks terrible.
Right. And it was like...
shit.
They lose... And Venom made $1 billion, so they're going to... They feel... Actually, Venom actually made... It was a bad movie, but...
I'm sure Tom Hardy helped with that.
Right, exactly. But I'm saying this to say, it's before that Andrew Garfield, the second one came out that did terrible... Sony felt strong and we're going to have Spidey for the next 50 years. You're never getting it back, Disney, because This Is Us. We put up numbers. But once that failed, the conversations that they were able to now have, Kevin Feige, let's sit down.
They're having
let's bring Prez.
The Andrew Garfield and
they're coming soon.
They're coming back.
Spidey 3, exactly.
Yeah. With Spider-Verse. The Spider-Verse is opening up with
that was a great Electro. That was a great Electro.
Exactly.
Fox killed it.
I think
they're bringing him back
as Electro.
They should. Right. They should. He was great. He was fantastic.
I don't think he's going to be the blue version. I think they're going to make him more traditional now.
Don't
get out of here. I didn't know
they got to change that face mask.
So, yeah,
I thought that was terrible. Actually, I did think that was terrible when I first saw it. But his acting was so good that I forgot about it.
When I heard that he was going to be Electro, I just pictured him in the original
yellow
outfit.
Things.
Yeah, I'm like, no, him. You can put him in that. Then when I saw his actual outfit where he's the blue, I was like, all right, I can get behind.
He was looking like Mastermind, that Will Ferrell.
Yeah, right.
Looking like a cheap Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah,
Mr. Manhattan.
One more version of Mr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan.
But I only brought it up to say that if a company as big as Sony came to their knees to the point where they needed to sit at the table with Disney to negotiate their most valued IP, which is the Spider-Man franchise, anybody else could fail. That's my point. Because
they Sega too.
Right. Didn't they sell Sega off?
Yeah. Well, now Sega is mostly video games.
Right, but I mean,
Sony didn't own Sega, but I get what you're saying. You're talking about.
Yes, okay, yes, exactly.
Yeah, publishing.
Exactly. So
they sold their publishing to Nintendo.
Oh, exactly. So there you go. Right. So I think that's what's going to happen with a lot of these people who are saying, I own my own content. Because look at this NBC one, Peacock, that they started.
It's not doing that well, but NBC is committed to it, so it doesn't matter.
Right. But the most popular NBC shows ever, right? Friends, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The Cosby Show, Seinfeld. None of these are on there.
I did not know that. Other Friends is going to be on there, but I didn't know about Cosby.
But they're breaking the bank to get Friends on there because they don't own Friends. They don't own The Cosby Show. They don't own
they had to break that $100 million deal with Netflix. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. So, we'll see a lot of swinging back and forth, I think.
I agree. And for those that don't know the history of Sony and Marvel, real quick, we've talked about it on a couple episodes. I forgot who the executive was at the time, but when they were divesting Marvel, when they were going through bankruptcy,
Marvel, the comic books, just so
yes, people know. Marvel, the comic books, not the studio. But they were not, because it was going bankrupt, they were not able to fund projects in the movie studio. So that was a big part of it. So they were giving off their movie licensing, the IP, like Brandon was saying, Del, sorry, my bad.
It's all good.
Like Del said, the IP. So to make a long story short, Sony was like, yo, they're having a fire sale over at Marvel Comics. for the movie licensing. They're having a fire sale. Go get Spider-Man. So that movie executive, I forgot who his name was, went to go get Spider-Man, and only Spider-Man. Marvel was like, yo, you don't want Iron Man? I'll throw in Hawkeye for you. I'll throw in this motherfucker. You can get the whole shit. You can get the whole catalog. Why are you...
All terrible cards, by the way.
Exactly.
Young people understand. These are fucking deep bench players. If the year's 1997 and like to your point, I'm at that fire sale, I'm not looking fucking twice at Iron Man. That's terrible.
Yeah, we're not saying that he made the wrong choice.
Right,
obviously, retrospectively, he did, obviously. But so this guy said, Marvel was like, take it all. Mm-hmm. And he was like, all right, let me go back to Sony and see what's up. So he goes back to Sony, and Sony's like, yo, what did I tell you? What did I say? Mm-hmm. What did I fucking say? Go get Spider-Man. I don't give a fuck about Logan. I don't give a fuck about any Magneto. Go suck a dick. Go get fucking Peter Parker. So he went back to Marvel and he was like, we only want Sony. We only want Peter Parker. We only want Spider-Man. That's it. Anything licensing that has to do with the universe of Spider-Man, that's all we want. And then 20 movies later, $19 billion later. And it's not like Sony's hurting for money, but damn.
Yeah, but they can't do it as well as...
Nope.
Neither did Fox. Fox had X-Men and Fantastic Four, and that failed. I do have to say, Fantastic Four 2 was definitely better than the Fantastic Four remake. And the second one sucked. So,
Silver Surfer.
That movie was
that was pretty good, actually. You're right. That is underrated, that one.
I would definitely watch that over the newest.
I've never even seen it.
100%. You are missing out on nothing.
I refused.
Michael B. Jordan was good. The movie was bad.
I actually never saw that one. I never saw the Michael B. Jordan one. I
refused.
I refused. I refuse to see a bad film of Michael B. Jordan.
It looked terrible. It
does look terrible. And what is her name? Jessica Alba should Contact. Oh no, it wasn't even her. It was her.
It was the other.
It was Mara. No, it was Rooney Mara's. It was Rooney Mara's sister.
Oh, no, I'm saying in Fantastic Four 2, she wore blue contacts.
Yes,
made her lighter.
Oh, my bad. I was talking about the Michael B. Jordan one. That was, what's her name? Mara.
From House of Cards, the one that got thrown in the franchise.
Yes. That's one of the giant owners' daughters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Rooney Mara is actually, she's having another celebrity's baby right now, actually.
Yeah, Kate Mara is her name.
Kate Mara. They're both hot. Yeah, they're both hot. And I forgot, who is Rooney Mara engaged to, Harry, real quick?
What's her name?
Rooney Mara. They're both the giant owner, John Mara and Steve Tisch.
Oh, her name, Rooney Mara. What about her?
She has a baby with somebody. She just had a baby with somebody.
Joaquin Phoenix?
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Right? I know. I just learned that recently.
All in a family.
Right? For real. I know. And those are like big power families, too, because River Phoenix and all that. Yeah, that's a huge lineage right there. That baby's going to be super famous. So before we move on.
The Coppola kids.
Right? Oh, yeah, the Coppola kids. Yeah, Sofia Coppola just took rights of a movie. She just finished a movie for someone. I forgot what it was, but we'll review it next week. So real quick, and this was totally disrespectful. My bad. Because Del and Harry are into the MCU a lot, I'm just a spectator. No, I enjoy. We've talked about this before. I enjoyed thoroughly. I love comic books. It's a huge part of my growing up. So of course I was going to be interested in the way that they portray them in the cinema world. Not all of them were good to me. I saw all of them. We ranked them. Del has ranked them online and stuff like that. So I'm going to ask him now his top 5. And I'm also going to touch on a show that I watched recently because, and I've said this before, I am super fatigued by superheroes. So it takes a lot for me. I'm not the average. Well, you guys are not the average fan in all audiences, but I consider you an average fan, not a casual fan, but you know what I'm saying, as far as excitement, you know what I'm saying? The excitement, if the excitement is at a 12, that's what I consider an average fan. So like you said with investing in the ticket, that's what I mean. So I am a spectator. I consider myself, even though I wasn't a casual fan of the comics, I was deeply invested. I am a casual fan when it comes to the movies, when it comes to the films. So my point is, I did not watch The Umbrella Academy on purpose, and I did not watch The Boys on purpose. I actually just finished The Boys recently. The Boys was made for what you just said, by the way, which makes it so great. Literally, it's made for the person who fucking either hates comic book movies altogether or is fatigued. So it's like, I was going to recommend that when you finish talking. No, everybody does. So I didn't watch Umbrella Academy yet. So I want to hear your thoughts other than your description of the show. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I would not put it in my top 10 shows of like 2019. Actually, if I did, to be honest, if I did watch it live in real time like you guys did, I might have put it in my top 10. There would have been a better shot. This year, 2020, I do not put it in my top 10. I would put it in top 15. I definitely would. I haven't seen Umbrella Academy yet. But the reason why I say this, and it's not a similar movie, it's only because it's comic book derived and it's ensemble and it's like, you know, an alternate Marvel, DC, even though they're legitimate comics, legitimate graphic novels. What was I about to say? Watchmen. The Watchmen last year was I don't even like we've talked about before. This is a well-known fact. I kind of stay away from comic book source material. Watchmen was my favorite show last year. Watchmen was dope. The most quality show in my opinion. And I watch an array of shows just like you guys do. I watch The Crown. I watch all types of shit. Mm-hmm. Even Downtown Abbey. Everybody makes fun of me for that type of shit. My wife loves that. She went to the movie. It's a good show. Your wife has taste. We already do that. We already do that. But so when people when I tell them I don't like comic book stuff and they go, well, what was your favorite show last year? Watchmen. They're like, no, I like quality, and I don't care where it comes from. Even if there's a genre that I don't enjoy, right? Or that it's not that I don't enjoy it. If it's a genre that I just feel really fatigued from. But my point is, I like The Boys. So tell me more why you like The Boys, and then to wrap this up, Brandon, Del, tell me your top 5. Even though I kind of know them already, tell me your top 5 Marvel movies, and Harry too. I'll try to make it quick because I know we're short on time. So my bad. No. I'm trying to respect you all's time. But The Boys, I think, especially, I love both seasons. I think season 2 turned up even more. I think the most
there's a couple things about The Boys. It's one, it's seeing like the cursing and shit like that in the world of comic book. It's just such a mind fuck that you kind of, and it's not like cursing like when someone's like, oh,
a lot of rape,
like Deadpool. I think The Boys is the most realistic depiction of what superheroes and in a realistic world, but in a capitalistic world would be. And that to me is what makes it so dope. And I think
Superman.
Yeah, exactly. I think Homelander is like,
that's a cool name, by the way, Homelander.
Right. He epitomizes white privilege, and like in a way that I feel like it would if a blonde 6'2" white guy woke up with the best power in the world. I almost feel like we're lucky in the show because he is capitalistic, because if he wasn't, he could just say fuck it and kill everybody. Yeah. Like he still works for a check. Which is like, that
when I saw Stormfront was a Nazi, I was like, oh, that's perfect for Homelander. I was like,
right, exactly.
There was a little scene where he got like questioned, where he's like, all this white genocide. And he's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. But also what I love about the show is like, it's like the subtle stuff. It's not always like the over the top stuff. It's like his racism is not like, I'm going to go to like Harlem and burn it down or whatever. It's like when he's in the room with like A-Train or someone, and like, you can just tell he's like, he doesn't really fuck with you. Like, he's like, you're lucky to be here kind of thing. His sexism is the same way, right? Like, The Deep was like overtly sexist and like tried to rape, what's her name?
I didn't like that either. I didn't like
how
they...
I found out.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she played Vince Vaughn's daughter in The Watch.
Wow.
I'm like, yo, she looks familiar.
Oh, I didn't know that because I looked at the credits. I got you.
But like, the covertness of the isms like in the show, I think to me that's what makes it dope, because that's the way, in my experience, it happens more often. It's not always like someone's running down the street chasing you or whatever the case. So that's that. MCU real quick, and I was gonna make the distinction because it's not Marvel for me. It's not top 5 Marvel movies because there's a ton of shit out there. Top 5 Marvel,
we get a treat. We get a
Marvel
real deep
cinematic universe.
That's right.
Right. I'm under the Kevin Feige umbrella.
So we're taking away Fox. None of that.
Now there's some gems like
no Sony, no Columbia.
Not to belabor.
Wait, they're now been bought by. They've all been bought by Disney.
Disney owns them all anyway.
Yeah, but that's like streaming.
But what I mean is, there are some gems, like, how do I put it? I'm trying to make this the easiest way possible. If you ask me my top 5, everything included, meaning every comic book movie ever made, there are some that don't fall in the MCU that to me are in the top 5, right? Like The Dark Knight is obviously top 5, if not number 1, right? To me, the Spider-Man, the one that just came out, Spider-Man Into the
Spider-Verse.
That's one of the best comic book movies ever made, right? So that's in there. Logan, to me, is another one of the best combo movies I've ever seen put into there. So probably
the Post Malone and Sway Lee. That's my jam.
Probably those 3 to me hold up the strongest, like outside of the MCU.
I agree. We're agreeing.
And I will give credit to. I think the first Spider-Man ever, the 2002. I think that one gets. It doesn't get the right.
That's a good one.
Sam
Raimi is one of the best directors ever. Like you can't
people love the second one more.
The second one has I feel like has the better story arc than.
I think so too.
Doc was great.
And Sam Raimi's actually coming back because Kevin Feige actually worked under Sam Raimi early in his career. He's bringing him back now to direct.
He's been around for a long time, Feige. Like everybody just thinks that he popped up now. Like, no.
No, he's paid his dues.
Exactly.
But anyway, so top 5. So number 1, the number 1 best MCU movie. It's tough because the movie that I enjoyed the most, I realize, I'm self-aware that I enjoy it because of the build-up and the knowledge I had. Like, if I never saw any of this shit and I just press play on that movie, it's not the best made movie, but the best movie, knowing everything all in, to me, is Endgame. Like, Endgame gave me the feels, it gave me the chills, it did what it I've never seen in my life of being a movie buff, as you all. There's never been this much pressure to make a film and it live up to what it's supposed to be, I think, ever, period, ever in the history of movies being made. Meaning, I don't mean like, oh, it's the best movie, like it's The Godfather. I mean, the expectations put on them to stick the landing, you've never seen that in films before be that high, and then the directors and the writers meet the bar where it's supposed to be. Like, maybe, no, not even, because the Return of the Jedi didn't do what people wanted it to do, right? Like, Empire Strikes Back met the bar to be the Star Wars sequel. Anyway, I'm getting into a whole nother.
No. We're listening.
Endgame, I would say number 1. Stronghold number 2, and could easily be number 1 depending on the day, is The Winter Soldier. Like, The Winter Soldier.
We know you're a Captain America fan. We know that.
I love Winter Soldier.
Fucking love it. They could come out with a fucking Equinox soldier. I'm down.
You know what it is? Mind you, because he's like Homelander. He's supposed to be like this boring ass.
He is.
Person. And they made, to me, I give the writers credit because they made him a very like likable kind of person. But I get into the cinematography of it. The way that hits land in those movies when the Russo brothers do them, like I'm talking about like a guy punches a guy, kicks a guy.
They did a very good job.
It's done really, really well. I probably only seen it done as good in like if you guys watch Daredevil on Netflix. The same thing.
The hallway scenes?
Yeah, the hallways, they're incredibly shot. Like,
but I heard that's the best one though. I heard that's the best Marvel show.
By far,
the one from Netflix, yeah.
By far. But I heard
they're actually thinking about continuing. I heard that.
I think they fucking should.
They have
Disney
to. They
Plus,
have to.
let's go.
Right, exactly.
Vincent D'Onofrio killed it.
But I say Endgame, Civil War. I mean,
Endgame,
so these are
Winter Soldier.
Okay, so we got Endgame, Winter Soldier.
Endgame, Winter Soldier. I'd probably say Civil War after that. I'd probably say Iron Man 1 after that. Still holds strong after 12 years. Such a well done film.
That's
and then, it gets a little shaky for me. I have to put Infinity War. I have to say Infinity War in the 5.
Okay.
Infinity War will probably be a little higher now that I think about it. And then the rest of them cascade pretty well. It's only what's more important is the bottom 3. It's like the worst films because there's like 2 or 3 horror.
That's a good question. Before we ask Harry, what's the worst MCU film?
Thor 1 and 2 like back to back are terrible. Right?
That's my one also. Dark World. Dark World is my worst.
Yeah, one. Terrible. Iron Man 3 is terrible to me. Like I think it's a horribly made movie. I think it's shit. Like it's terrible.
Iron Man 3 is in the middle for me. Keep going.
Terrible down there. And then that's it. Everything else I have a pretty good appreciation for. Like everything has its place. I love Black Panther. It's not like my number. Everyone expected me that to be like my number 1. It's not.
We're not going to tokenize you.
Yeah. The last 20 minutes, they like, and I love Ryan Coogler, but the CGI shit, the video game fight scene at the end, like that dropped the movie like hard.
I enjoyed that, but I get what you're saying.
But yeah, Guardians 1, that's probably like right there, like number 6. Like Guardians 1 is such a well-made. But anyway, yeah, that's my.
You almost hurt my heart almost leaving that. Go ahead, Harry. You tell us yours and I'll tell mine.
Definly Endgame is definitely on number 1.
Okay.
We got over 10 years of like build up this fight.
Exactly.
Yeah, you start with Iron Man and then you end with Iron Man. It's like.
Okay, so
Iron Man's definitely number 2. Iron Man's definitely number 2.
The first Iron Man
1, yeah. That started it all.
List over here, guys.
Thor 3, I love that one.
Ragnarok.
Was like, we had him in space because that's exactly what he is.
That's number 1 for a lot of people, by the way.
A lot of people love it.
Really? I know. I think that's definitely number 3. And then what was Spider-Man: Homecoming? I love that one. I thought Tom Holland was great.
Go Queens, go Queens.
My number, they even in which one?
Civil War.
Infinity War. No, Infinity War. You actually see the buildings in which I live.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
When they come in, when it says Queens, those buildings in the background, it's like, yo, I live there. That's my apartment building right there.
Keep going.
Number 5. What would be my number 5? No one gives this movie enough credit. Hulk. I definitely love that movie.
The first one, right?
The first one was phenomenal.
It was
to me, that's the best script. To me, it still is the best script that they ever came out with. And a tribute to Jim Norton, even though they behind the scenes they say he butchered the shit out of it.
No, I felt Edward Norton's good, and I feel like Mark Ruffalo fits in the universe better on how they work than Ed Norton would have went. He should have been his own standalone Hulk movie, and they could have done wonderful. Like if they,
I wouldn't have bought it. I like Jim Norton as the Hulk better, but I get what you're saying.
The first
as far as market wise,
Jim Norton.
Everybody's not selling.
Eric Bana was the first one.
Oh, Ed Norton. Ed Norton. I didn't mean to say Jim. My bad. Sorry.
I'm like, who's Jim?
I know. I know. Dumbass. No, Ed Norton took over that script. I forgot who was the original screenplay for that, but he didn't like it, and he basically rewrote the whole script, and Marvel had a bad taste in their mouth from that, and they were just like, they didn't want to work with him again after that. Even though I'm not the only one who thinks this, even though the MCU's done very well and they don't need a good script, to me that was the real that was the most authentic Hollywood script they ever had. As far as the MCU, we talked about Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan, obviously Christopher Nolan.
I don't agree with that narrative, but
That's okay. Disagree. Go ahead.
I think there's.
Go ahead. Which one has a better script than Hulk?
I think that the Winter Soldier, easily, with the Bucky.
Who directed that? I forgot. That was Russo also?
The Russo brothers, written by, what's their names? Mark and Mike, whatever. Russo, but I like that one a lot.
Nice. All right, so we got. So do you have like an outlier, Harry? Someone that could interchange at 5 before I tell mine?
No, that's basically my 5. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Honorable mentions? Oh, yeah.
That's what it is, motherfucker. Yo,
so definitely.
No, not a bunch. Just one that can replace 5.
Infinity War is definitely up there.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So I'm going to say mine real quick before we move on, so we can interview the brand of Dell.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I edit this thing anyway. So, so my number 1, actually, I'm going to tokenize. I think Black Panther, and to me, when I just said the Hulk,
great film.
Great film, and to me, it was a great film. It wasn't even like if I knew nothing about Marvel, I wouldn't even associate it with it, to be honest. If I knew nothing about Black Panther, the character, the origin, nothing, even though I really enjoy Black Panther Panther's a great, and I was even pining for Wesley Snipes the years that they were paying him to be that. And he even gave kudos to the movie. He thinks that it did way better than he could have done. And I love Wesley Snipes. So to me, I'm a Guardians of the Galaxy fan. For some reason, I can't separate the film buff. The film, I wouldn't even say film buff, film snob about myself. So Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm a big sucker for soundtracks. And to me, if you took the soundtrack out of Guardians of the Galaxy, it wouldn't be a trash movie, but it wouldn't be a good movie. And so that's kind of like a weak case why I have it at number 2, but it's my personal list. So Guardians of the Galaxy is number 2 for me. Infinity War is number 3 for me. To me,
incredible film.
As far as, so the last movie that I saw where they put a lot of characters together and it was seamless and it was actually like a good story and a good narrative, because we've seen that many times. Street Fighter, we've seen it a bunch of times. Mortal Kombat was the last time I saw them do a good job of that. Not Annihilation, the first one. And not to say that was like the most quality movie, blah, blah, blah. But as far as meshing all the stories together, it took over 20 years for the Russo brothers to accomplish that. And I felt like they did a good job with that with Infinity War. I actually saw that twice in the Philippines with Mark.
There we go.
And we had to stand up twice to put our hand over our heart to do the allegiance to Duterte.
Wow. In the movie theater.
Yes, in the movie theater, twice. At the credits, they were like, make sure you stand up for Rodrigo, president. I'm like, anyway, so, and I wasn't going to fuck with them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, personally, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. It took me a second run through to really enjoy the second one with Kurt Russell, but I really did, and I enjoyed the soundtrack as well. I even like the soundtrack for the second one even better than the first. And then I guess I'm a homer. I love Spider-Man Homecoming.
All great films.
Yeah, no, and I love I forgot my man's name from Freaks and Geeks. He's one of the writers of it, so I'm a big fan of him. They're also writing. They're a duo. I forgot their names. Harry, if you want to find that would be great. They're a duo, and they're writing Flashpoint. They're writing the new Flash movie. So that's going to be cool. And I love Ezra Miller, so I hope that's going to be good. And my outlier, actually, it could be number 5. It truly is an outlier. It truly is an honorable mention. It should be number 5, actually. But because I'm from Queens, it's not. So, Thor Ragnarok. And to be honest, it could be anywhere in the top 5 for me. That actually saved the franchise for me and a lot of other people. Because the first 2, I was just like, I'm never watching a Thor movie ever again. These are so trash.
They're trash. They're super trash.
They're so trash. And actually, Marvel, the executives at Marvel and Disney and all them, they'll even tell you that they almost canceled the whole thing because of how bad that movie was. They almost said, fuck the MCU and all the planning of Kevin Feige. They almost said, fuck it because of that. Just like they did with Johnny Depp and the whole, because they were going to copy off of that universe with Universal. You knew about that, Brandon?
Yeah, no, the Dark Universe, terrible. The Mummy was horrible.
They pulled the Spider-Man. They put too many things in at once to focus on.
Yep. Like, and it was just a bad movie. It was like,
they should. What they should have done was set it up for a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
That was a decent movie, actually. That was a decent movie, and the comic is great. Okay, so now we're gonna move on. Now we're gonna get into the interview portion.
Well, I'm gonna get a little high.
What the fuck did I say?
Okay, so we got Dell. Dell again. He's in advertising. He's a music mogul. He is. What else does he do? Oh, he is an activist. When I was on campus at DePaul University in Indiana, I didn't know that many people that did protest on campus. Actually, we were in a very white supremacist area, so it was probably very dangerous. So to be honest, kudos to him. He risked his life for that shit pretty much. So he's going to give you I'm going to introduce these things, but he's going to be the one to actually flesh them out and tell us why we're proud of all the things that he's done. So here we go. So like I said, and he's also had a baby recently. He's gotten married over the first few years. Again, we have a lot of colleagues in common. He's around a lot of successful people. He's on the board of trustees at our university, our alumni. He's also on the board for Suit Dreams. It's not really active right now, but when I was trying to be a part of it as well, basically putting suits on underprivileged men that wouldn't be able to see those opportunities so they can look fresh for their interviews. And, if there's anything I'm missing out, please do tell me. Tell me more about the brand of Dell, how it has came to be.
Yeah, man, Dell just a kid from Harlem who is really a proud New Yorker, Harlemite who grew up on hip-hop music in the 90s, who's a big fan of just the culture in general, even music today, obviously, but just in my own musical path, someone who along the way was disheartened. I don't know if when we spoke earlier, that part was recorded, because I don't want to repeat all the shit I said.
Go ahead. Don't worry about it.
But no, I'm talking about the journey. That part is...
Oh, yeah, we recorded that.
Okay, cool, great. So anyway, to go off what I was saying earlier, just now I think at an older age, finding myself getting back to music and making it even more meaningful than it's been in the past for me has been super exciting. And this is the first time I will say this year where I've let my 9-to-5 career mesh with my musical passion and just let the two sort of mold and not feel like I have to hide one from the other or balance one for the other and stuff like that. So.
And you're in a perfect age for that. Even when I was content manager at the news outlet, I felt the same way. Like when I accept jobs, I like to accept jobs where I can learn towards what I'm doing for my passion projects. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. That's actually a privileged spot to be in. Mm-hmm. But that's not for everybody in America or even in the world. But we've earned it. Right. We're trying to get where we need to be. So I totally agree with that. I'm so happy you got back into music, Brandon. Not that you're not great at tech marketing. You're amazing at tech marketing. But I'm so happy that you're merging them together and you're continuing that, because when I saw that you were promoting the album, I was like, thank goodness. I'm like,
yeah, no, it's just hard because if ever you wanted to do something since you were 12, 13 years old, right? And then you kind of get close, then it doesn't work. Then you get close and it doesn't. And when I say doesn't work, I mean, in the sense of if your dream was always to get signed to be a major artist, et cetera, like everyone else can say, yeah, but it's just dope that we get to hear it. And it's like, you have to, I think, have a certain level of maturity to come to that realization. I think earlier on, when you're all cylinders go, trying to get a record deal, trying to, to be on, if you will, all that other shit that people are talking about doesn't matter. You're like, either I made it or I didn't, right? And so, and the other piece I'll add to that is the thing with hip hop in general, or specifically, I should say, that makes it different from all the other kind of passions, be it, let's say someone is a filmmaker, or let's say someone is a poet, or let's say someone is a dancer, or let's say someone runs, marathons in their spare time, or someone plays intramural sports. All of those things, even within music, someone is in a band, even with any of those things, if they come into their 9-to-5 job and they say, hey, I'm in a band, or hey, I also do marathon, or hey, I do whatever. There's a certain level of respect that comes with that people say, oh, that's cool. That's a nice, passion that you have. But hip hop rapping has become so diluted that it's not even
don't pass me a mixtape, Tyrone.
Right, exactly. That comes before anyone knows what kind of music you do, what kind of
like a Jehovah's Witness over here.
Yeah, it's really seen as like another rapper, everybody raps kind of thing. So it kind of takes the ability away for you to enjoy it as a passion side project, because people are looking at you like, why are you doing that? Why aren't you too old to be doing it? Right? Whereas if I were in a band and I play guitar, you could be 50 and people would be like, oh, that's dope. You play guitar. Like, that's what's up. Or if you play intramural, I play at the YMCA and intramural league. People are like, oh, that's dope. Getting some exercise. That's what's up. Like, hip hop has such a finite window.
Totally agree with you, by the way.
And so that's kind of what disheartened me. And I kind of gave the explanation to answer when you said, why I didn't do it for so long. Right.
Yeah. No. That was an internal question, by the way.
Oh, okay.
But no. And I'm glad you answered it. You read my mind. No. I was, like I said, I was pleased. I was pleased because I always thought you were talented in music, in all facets of music, not just lyrical, not just rhyming. I always thought that.
Yeah, put in the music.
I said that to one of my cousins. One of my cousins, he's very good in music also. And I said to him, I was just like, dude, why did you stop making music? I was a huge fan. And the same thing to the fans of you, Brandon. That's when you said you came to that realization. Not to say that, like, you weren't right to feel that way, to, like, you know, quote unquote, put a pause or, you know, because that was your journey. That's what you needed to do. But I hope you realize now you had fans. And, like, when you went on that hiatus, there were personal reasons, but a lot of them, and not to say that, like, you lost sleep over it or anything like that, but, like, a lot of people like me were like, damn, when are we going to hear more Del? Like, when are we going to hear more of this? So, like, we're glad that, like, you know, you took the dust off and you were just like, fuck it. Whether I make it or not, I'm going to be fine. You know what I'm saying? Right, I just want to make great music, and I'm happy for it. We're grateful for it.
No, I appreciate that, bro. Seriously.
No problem. The episode is called Triangle Defense. That is a homage to the music that you've made. Like I said, you have a lot of fans. You have a lot. So we call it it was based on the Triangle Offense of Phil Jackson. That hi-hat, I can't even do that. So, yeah, that's one of my favorite tracks. Raptors is one of my favorite tracks on the new album. Please, and we talked about the Paul walkout. Please tell us more about that. In an age where we have hashtags for every protest, to me, you and Landon were one of the first people to do, like, viral protests.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, we did the standoff for Hurricane Katrina victims.
Oh, I said it wrong. Standoff.
No, that's all good. And I think it was 06 and 07. We did it like for 2 years, but basically. And I still believe in this premise till today. And you remember this. When we were on campus, everything was so organized. It was like, are you in a Greek org? Are you in a Black Greek org? Are you under, you know, the Black Student Union? Are you under this group or that group? And it sort of almost got to the point by like sophomore, junior year where it was like, if you don't do something organized with the group, it almost doesn't count or it doesn't whatever. And so to me, to Landon and I, it was like, and I was in groups. I was in
a lot.
Yeah, with different stuffs, right? So I'm not knocking those, but I'm saying
AAAS, you were in a lot.
Yeah, but to me it was like, I don't want people to think you have to be a part of those things to do something of substance. So Landon, who's a friend of mine, he's someone who's, you know, a super political activist kind of dude. And we were watching.
He went off actually. He went off in his district.
We were watching in real life, exactly, like now in D.C.
He's a politician. He's a politician.
We were watching, I think it was a David Blaine special or something like that. And this was happening in the same week that we're seeing, you know, the Katrina victims and everything happen there. And so we were like, yo, we want to do something for them. And we were joking about the fact that David Blaine really doesn't do anything except, like, have stamina in things, right? It's like, I'm not going to do magic. I'm just going to hold myself up above 50 feet.
Cheap-ass Houdini. The fucking throwback Houdini.
Right. But it's really like, with him, it's like, I can stand on the edge of this building longer than anyone else, right? But that's not magic. That's just like endurance, right? Yeah. So, and it's not a knock, but I was like, oh, okay. So we were like, what if we did something?
Meanwhile, Evel Knievel can crash and still make money. Come on.
Right.
That's privilege right there. No, joking.
But we're like, what if we were to stand on this corner of our campus for X amount of hours? At the time, we did 24 hours, and we don't sit, we don't eat. What was it? We don't sit, we don't lean, and we don't sleep for the whole time. So we did 24 hours, and obviously we were a lot younger, so our knees were a lot better, our legs, right? But we did it, and we raised, I think that first time, like $2,400. That we had a girl at our school, Teaspoon. She was from Louisiana, and we got
I love her.
Yeah, we got in contact with like 3 families from her church back home, and we literally sent the money to those 3 families. And then it went over really good. We made the school newspaper, whatever, and then we just did it again the following year. So just some sort of like one-off, you know, activism, as you would say. That
was your body more prepared the second time? Because you said that, like, you know, they're.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I think both, you know, my legs were on fire when it was over.
Of course.
Like, I don't think I could do that.
That's a natural position.
Right. But we made it through both. So, you know, a lot of support. People came out, you know, showed love and stuff like that. So
again, I wasn't involved with much civics back then, but I took notice from getting high with my fraternity.
Nah, you were always supportive, so I appreciate it.
But I never. Thank you, I appreciate the credit, but like, it was more like. I did more to ignore stuff, to be honest. I did more to like, yeah, that's going on, but fuck, what does that got to do with me? And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like that. But I didn't want to be like that anymore. I didn't want to be like that.
Right. And I don't fault people. I tell people these stories. I'll make it super quick. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
You were saying I was on the school's board. One of the most touching moments for me being on our school's board of alumni.
You and Chuck.
And Charles was on it too, was we were in a board meeting and there was a woman there and she was trying to get votes. We were like doing, bills or whatever the case. And she was trying to get one bill passed by the president who was there as well. She was trying to get enough like decorum or whatever to get a bill passed that said we would up the spending on handicap.
That's the current president, right? That's the current president?
No, this is before him. Before her. This is the last guy. But she was trying to get the spend up for handicap accessibility to different buildings on campus. And the short of it is she was saying how she's an alum and she's so proud that she wants her daughter, I think who was a handicapped person, to be able to go to the school. And she said when she visited, the daughter said absolutely not because she couldn't get into or around like 90% of the fucking campus.
Damn.
I bring that up to say, and she started crying and stuff, and I like shed a tear in that meeting because I realized up until that point, I never thought about that. I went to school there. I visited a dozen times as an alum. I never thought twice about if a wheelchair can get into this building, if there's an elevator in this building, if there's a ramp to get into this building. So the reason why that's relevant to what you're saying is even though I was someone who was very active as it pertains to race, like early on when I was 18, 19, whatever, I'm never one of those people who tell someone now, like, fuck that. You didn't want to say nothing back then, so don't say something now, because race is like one ism. There's like 100 other ones that I haven't been active in. And I didn't care about handicap accessibility, and now I do. So who am I to tell someone else, no, Vince, you ignored it for all those years, so don't be active now. Gotcha. When a person in a wheelchair could say that to me about their struggle, right? Like, so.
I know those gold wheels from anywhere.
Right, you know what I mean? So I just kind of keep that perspective on it. The only thing I hate, though, is when people ask me now, why am I not posting more or saying more about certain things that happen? And I'm like, bro, you can't force me to be vocal about whatever now. I'm past the point of angry. Now I'm more solution oriented. So yes, someone may get beat by the cops and I may in my house have a whole discussion about it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to post every person who's killed by the cops picture and write a whole soliloquy about it, because I was doing that, to your point, back in college. So now I'm more of like, where can I donate? Where can I sign a petition? I'll do those things more in private than I would have maybe 15 years ago, when I was
absolutely
or whatever. So,
and this is something you've earned, by the way. You're in a privileged position to be in platforms and to have ears that other people wouldn't have.
Right.
So to me, you being selective about those conversations where you bring it is courageous in its own self. My grandfather, we've talked about him before in NBC radio and stuff. He said to me, a long time ago, before he died, he said to me,
rest in peace.
Thank you. He said to me, you could fight all you want, but I prefer to fight in the inside. And people call me Uncle Tom, not me, him. People call him Uncle Tom, all these type of things, and rightfully so. He was in rooms, quote unquote, people thought he shouldn't have been in and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure he had to, suckle a lot of people in order for that to happen. But I'm with him on that. And I had to tell that to my former camp kid, who, like I said, has been all radical on Twitter and shit like that. He's like, Zuckerberg, stop censoring, stop shadow banning me. He's like one of those people. Like, stop shadow banning my content. You're censoring on a private platform. I'm like, this is a private platform, homie. Like,
right.
Censor whatever they want. But my point, what was my point?
I think your point is that there's just different routes to it, right? Like to doing the work.
Thank you.
And I'm a super big proponent of that. Like it goes back to fucking when Du Bois and Booker T were debating 100-something years ago. It goes back to Malcolm and Martin. Like I always say with the Malcolm and Martin debate, I will not stand for any like MLK disrespect, and people like to do it like on an annual
plagiarism.
They're like, I'm more Malcolm. I'm more Malcolm than I'm like, first of all, even if you count MLK as passive, which he wasn't, but even if you count him as that, the shit he had to do is nothing compared to the fucking radical shit you think you're doing. Like, you think you're posting a bunch of shit and that's so radical, whatever. Like, this man's like sitting at a fucking counter getting his head beat in, going to jail, ruining his record, then going tomorrow when he gets out and doing the shit again. Like, that, if that's not radical to you, I don't know what,
The coroner, when he was in the autopsy, they said that his heart was in the condition of a 70-year-old.
And he was in his 30s. You know what I mean? So I'll say all that to say there's multiple routes. And when people go with the super radical talk, I'm like, look, if you had a bag of chips in your hand and one guy walks over and he says, bro, can I have a couple chips? And in your mind, you're like, fuck no, I don't want to share my chips. But the next guy comes over with a gun and he's like, give me your whole fucking bag. All of a sudden, the guy who asked you for a few chips looks a lot more appetizing, right? So it's almost like the approach of we're all radical, we're all holding a gun to get those bags of chips. It's fine, but just know that you need both to get anything, right? It's not one way or simply the other. So. Okay, so I got a couple more things before we wrap up. This is actually our longest episode, which is not a problem, by the way. I'm fucking Joe Budden episode over here. I know, right? Marathon Joe Rogan. So we got a couple more things before we leave, and I want to leave on a couple of things that you're a part of. I wanted to talk about Dre Day. I wanted to talk about the foundation that you set up with that, and I also want to talk about Mixie Night. Tell me about how you set that up and how your association with Mixie Night. That is. So Drew Day is a day that I created. I said Dre. I'm so sorry. Wow. No, it's all good. So it's all good. So my brother passed. I had a brother that passed away when he was 21 years old. When I was a senior in college. And I lived with him my whole life, so super close. But he actually super skinny kid playing ball, and he had a heart attack while playing basketball at 21. And obviously it was sudden. It was out of nowhere. I was still in college, so I had to, come home, deal with the burial and all that, and then go back to school and finish it had 1 month of college left. So it was like finishing that shit beyond rough to get my degree. So it was crazy. But you know me, I'm never one to complain about these things. You just kind of you just do them. Yeah. But I say that to say what I realized over time was the way that he, suddenly passed. This was at the time when I heard it, I was like, heart attack. What the fuck out of here? But when you get older and you're like, yeah, we were eating fucking Jimbos and Crown Fried every night. Yeah, we were drinking fucking soda and eating McDonald's double cheeseburger. You get older and you realize it's less about his individual decision. It's more about just the conditions. If you go to a hood anywhere, I'm from Harlem. I live in Newark now, right? Mm-hmm. If you open fucking Uber Eats in Newark or in Harlem, there's nothing healthy. Nothing on the map. Damn. It's all Popeyes and McDonald's and all this type of shit. That's because Redman still lives there. Not sure. Right. Yeah. So it's indicative of the options that people have. And we're not even talking about now when maybe Harlem is more gentrified. So I can't believe it's still a food desert. Especially I can't believe because they have the transit there and the path and all that. I thought that would gentrify that shit. So what you have, you talking about here or Harlem? Newark. Oh. It's not. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I was surprised that Newark is still, because I live in a food desert still. I live in Jamaica, and I'm shocked. Yeah, and I heard that line on the album, by the way. Were you coming at people in Queens with the basement apartments? You said the basement. He was like, back then when we didn't have our mom's basement apartment. I was like, oh, I know. Damn. My wife's from Queens, so we go through this all the fucking time. It's not a knock at all. It's not a knock at all. But to get back to the point, I started Drew Day to sort of raise some awareness around the first year when I did it around cardiovascular issues, and so it was literally just a party with a purpose. We raised that night over $4,000, and then I donated it to Harlem Hospital, specifically the unit that helped spread awareness about eating better in Harlem. So I just felt like that was what I could do to sort of keep his memory, Yeah, alive. And I'm sorry for bringing that up, by the way. I know that's a sensitive subject. That's your heart right there. That's all good, man. But I was just always impressed by, I've never set up a foundation, and I've never set something with such a great purpose. And you did a fantastic job with the marketing of that and everything. You got a lot of people to donate. And like I said, I just wanted to bring up something impressive. No, I appreciate it. And again, I just want to say, because I want to be transparent because I feel like a lot of people aren't transparent. Sure. I don't have a LLC or anything like that. It literally was me saying, I'm going to call a guy I know who throws parties. How can I rent out a club, which we did, which was Contra Lounge, right? It obviously costs money, but meaning it wasn't like I said, I'm a nonprofit and can you give me a discounted rate? I literally was rent that out, rent out food, get a DJ, throw a party, and then we raised $4,000, right? And I'm saying that not to make it sound easy, but to make it sound accessible. Because I know when I try to do stuff and I look at other people doing shit, it always seems to me like so much went into it more than it actually did, right? So when people are sitting at home and they're like, yo, I just want to make a difference here. I just want to do something for Jamaica. I want to do something for whoever. The shit is not I have a friend, Marquise Bynum, that we went to college together. He's going to be a guest one day too. We're talking. Yeah, he's dope. He literally started a foundation where they
He gets a bunch of friends over. Yeah, Project Help. They make sandwiches and lunch packages at someone's house, and then they just go give it out to the homeless people in San Antonio, right?
Yep.
Like it's super accessible and it's super doable. And I know that was like extended answer, but I wanted to put that out there so people know, like, yo, you can just pick up and do these type of things. They don't have to be like big companies or anything, like that. So.
And our former colleague from Revolt, Phil, he set up Mixie Night with right? Was that Phil or was that Landon?
No, so my friend actually that I grew up with, Mooch.
Oh, that was Mooch. Oh,
yeah, who I came up with. Yeah, in college. Him, his wife, and his brother-in-law, they started the Mixie Game Night, which is essentially them doing Airbnbs of townhouses, like fancy townhouses in downtown Manhattan.
Uh-huh.
They just have a big-ass game night, and they charge admission at the door. So they've been doing, obviously with COVID, everything shut down.
I wanted to go, and I
They'll be back. So you definitely should both of y'all should pull up. It's a really
I want to go really bad. Yeah, we'll both go. We'll put it on the Where the Fuck Did I Go?
Yeah, no. So I was just on the board for at least the first year, just helping put in some seed money to help out, to help his vision, which was their vision and is great, come to fruition. But they're incredible. It's dope shit.
Two more things. The verses that you do with Phil and Mooch. Explain that. What are your favorite celebrity verses? like DMX and Snoop. Like, what are your favorites with that? And what are the favorite ones that you did yourself?
So my favorite real life one that happened.
Oh, my bad. Explain it real quick. Explain it. Sorry.
Oh, so Versus, if anyone doesn't know, is a thing that Swiss Beats and Timbaland started, which is basically them sitting down two celebrity musicians to play their catalogs, 20 of what they feel are their best songs against each other. So one artist goes, the other artist goes, and it's on Instagram Live. And so people comment as they go. If you're more competitive like I am, you'll keep a score sheet.
I love it.
Some people just
That's exactly what I watch because you guys are competitive.
Yeah. Some people do it for like the celebration or whatever. Yeah. So what Vince is referring to is over quarantine, because we were bored and arguing in our group text, my good friend Mooch and I literally...
I can only imagine what that group text looks like.
It started from a debate over Drake versus Jadakiss. And obviously I think most people consensus would say Drake's a great artist and a better artist. Jadakiss is a better lyricist. My premise was, no, I'd actually say I think Jadakiss is a better artist as well. Not in terms of like, can he make the most diverse kind of music, but in terms of
came from.
Yeah. So my thing was, if you take the best 20 Jadakiss songs, meaning not just his own solo records, but the locks and anything he's been featured on,
that helps.
They're better to me than the best 20 Drake songs. And so we sat down and we did it. We played it out.
Bring that all in, yeah.
Instagram Live, and it was really fun. But in real life, my favorite one that the real celebrities did by far was the Jadakiss versus Fab.
Okay, that was that's a really good one. That's a really good drunk too. That was a really good
one. That one was dope.
And your favorite and what's your favorite one of you and Mooch and Phil?
We did some great ones. Shout out to Phil Porter. Shout out to Mooch. My favorite one, probably not for during the time being played, and I think during the time, but the feeling I had from kicking his ass so fucking good had to be Eminem versus Kendrick Lamar. And why it was is because you gotta understand, I met Mooch in 2002 when I was 16 years old.
Uh-huh.
Back when we were both like rapping and
that's
Eminem was one of my
year.
Yeah, M was one of my biggest influences. He fucking hated Eminem. He thought Eminem was the most overrated. He thought
he's still pretty polarizing.
All the typical things you could say. And I'm talking about back when M was like, I don't think M is. I think he's lost a lot of his ability, in my opinion.
But like you said, rappers never lasted until like in their past their 40s.
Right, exactly. But in his prime, he's one of the greatest to do it. But Mooch always hated him. He'd be like, he's fucking trash. He's mad overrated, blah, blah, blah. So this is a 20-year argument we've been having of him being trash. And so to kick his ass in front of all the people who were on Instagram.
Oh, that was sweet.
When he didn't even feel M had enough records, he was like, you can't play the fucking Lose Yourselves and not Lose Yourself.
You convinced him? Did he lose or did you convince him?
No, he lost bad. Like every time.
No, I saw that, but was he convinced afterwards?
He admitted. He said, I still think he's trash, but it is what it is. You won. It is what it is. So I love that. It was such a gratifying.
Oh, that feels so good. That feels good. So we got one last question before we go. We got one last question.
Okay.
This one is industry based. We've been hearing in the news, and not to say that like you have inside information, just your personal opinion, Do you think that Disney is going to just be its own platform, or do you think that Hulu will still be its standalone? Because we talked about Quibi, and to be honest, that's the failed industry version of that. And you're actually a product of a success from Disney. You're actually where the companies all came to. That's where it related to me. That's where all the big execs came together and made Quibi. And that's the same thing that happened with Hulu, but you're actually part of the successful, not launch, you're actually part of the successful sustainability of that. So in your personal opinion, not your insider information, your personal opinion, do you think that Disney's going to end up just having its own umbrella streaming?
No, I think Hulu's going to stay its owned and operated by Disney, obviously, but it'll be its own. And the main reason for that is because Disney Plus is never going to have mature content. So if you think about the acquisitions that Disney's made, yes, they got the Marvel and the Star Wars and all that shit goes to Disney Plus. But they also, the biggest purchase that people don't talk about a lot is Fox, 21st Century Fox. Meaning every movie that we've ever watched growing up that starts with Disney owns all of those. Yeah. So that's like random Wesley Snipes movies, random fucking Saw movies, like all these movies. So if you think about it, there's nowhere else for those movies to go but Hulu. And if I'm Disney, why would I build a new adult platform when I already own one that has a reputable name already? So that's why I don't think Hulu's going anywhere.
You answered that perfectly. Brandon, I can't thank you enough. And yes, this was a marathon episode, but as long as you enjoyed it, I enjoyed myself.
I had a blast.
I had no problem.
I appreciate both of y'all. And Harry, I never met you, but you were incredible. You have you have like this dope like outsider personality that fits well with the pod. I don't know if you guys normally do 2 or 3, but
we do. We got him in the 3rd season, man. He's been there all the seasons, but we've been trying to get his voice on here more.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
I got the face for radio.
Brandon, I don't know if you consider this, but you're a natural, bro. You should definitely get into some type of potting. Some marquee.
You're like the 100th person.
I'm sure. I know I'm not the only one.
I may. And then when I do, I definitely will reach out for some tips.
I would love to collaborate with anything with you. You know I love to collaborate with anything with you. You're always.
We'll be on your first episode. Be your first guest.
Boom. There we go.
Don't put too much pressure, man. He's got to develop the show first.
Don't make me Quibi.
Quibi and die. So, Brandon, before we go, Del, sorry, we'll edit that out.
Okay.
Del, what else should we be looking out for on you? What are the tags you want people to look for you on, like your username on social media? Any projects to look out for? Anything like that before we get into where to look for us.
No, yeah. So you can follow me on Instagram at B_deliberate on Instagram. I have, the music there and everything. But most importantly, Son of the Struggle, which is the album, is out. It's on all music streaming and purchasing platforms. So Spotify, just type in Son of the Struggle, Tidal, Apple Music, iTunes. We've been getting a lot of purchases, like 4 album purchases on iTunes, which is really, I didn't expect as many. So that's really dope. And then just more music. Like I said, the floodgate for me, I think creatively is open right now, and I don't want to just stop with one album. So I think there's more to come on that front. And then, we'll kind of see what the rest of the future has to hold for me. So
yeah, Brandon.
Yeah, man.
Yes. So yes, keep making music, keep ascending into the advertising TV world. I'm always going to be fascinated by that. You always got.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man.
I appreciate it.
Yes, man.
And you guys keep doing your thing. I fucking love the energy of this pod. I love the diversity of topics on the pod too. Everyone's not a lifestyle pod listener. I like lifestyle pods, so I'm into the ones that sort of are able to hop around and get.
Yeah, like I said, you were a perfect guest for this. As soon as I saw that you were promoting your album, I was like, oh my god, this is like perfect timing. I said, like you're perfect for podding. We've always been a fan of. We always talk about disc jockeys when we were younger. It's who the people that we really enjoyed, and it's just progressed, and I'm glad that we're in it now, too. As a content creator, it means a lot. Someone that's in content creation, fucking the golden era of it, it's very humbling to hear from you.
Yeah, man.
So, you can catch us up on Keep Up NY on Twitter. You can catch us on Twitch, Keep Up NYC. I'm also on Twitch with stillvinsane. I'm also on Instagram with stillvinsane. Maybe Brandon will let me follow him.
I thought you do. I'm public now, by the way, so feel free.
I will. I would love to follow you.
Check your phone right now.
I got you. Anyway, I was joking. I wasn't trying to call anybody out.
I'm Quibi. I'm the new Quibi.
The new Quibi. Don't Quibi and die on us.
Right.
So anyway, Keep Up NYC on Instagram, Patreon. me and Harry keep having meetings about it. We're not doing anything about it. So, Harry, let's do it. Start getting paid for this shit. Oh, by the way, yes, if you want to start getting paid for your podcast, your future podcast, Brandon, Patreon.
Okay. I'll fuck with it.
So anyway, Facebook, we're Keep Up, Shut Up. Stillvinsane also. For other platforms, you can catch John on John of All Trades. He just came out with a Halloween-themed YouTube with Sammy and John, so you can check that out. They're at a psychiatric hospital. That's pretty cool. You can catch Harry on Pokemon Stoner on his IG. And now it's time. You better shut the fuck up, listen up, and keep up with Stillvinsane, Dell, Pokemon Stoner. Over and out, homies. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.